Welcome back to the Top 6 show. Make sure you're hitting the like button. Make sure you are subscribing to the Football Terrace. Loads to jump into today, to digest, to talk about. It was a big weekend, some huge results, some hammering defeats, and also some big injuries ahead. It is the festive period, but ahead of Christmas, which of course is in 2 days' time. So Merry Christmas to everybody who is tuning in and watching and who celebrates. If you don't, then enjoy the holidays. If you don't have a holiday this time of the year, well, have fun at work. Whatever way around it is, enjoy yourselves. Absolutely enjoy yourselves. Panel, we've got, I think Kate's joining us a little bit later and Pete's coming too. They're running a little bit late. We've got Tom, we've got Henry, we've got Kunle, and we've got Will on the show. How are you all, gentlemen? You all good and well?
Oh, fantastic.
I couldn't be much better.
Sensational, mate. Sensational.
Other than football, it's Christmas. Everyone's in the spirit, but in the football world, it's another result at the end of the day.
Normal, no, Henry?
Oh yeah, at the moment, I mean, like I said on my video yesterday, we're getting handed out like a spliff at an 80s party. We're just getting passed around by everyone. So it is what it is.
Good old 80s party. They were great. They were. The 90s parties were pretty good. 80s parties were fun. There's no trouble. Well, there was trouble. It's different. Anyway, that's another conversation for another day. I'm reminiscing about growing up. Basically, when I grew up, you had a fight with your fists and no one jumped in. It was better back then. Do you know what I mean? It was just, we just call it.
Afterwards.
Well, so much that you'd have a fight with someone. You'd then go back into the party or the pub and have a drink with them and shake hands. It was proper. It was genuinely proper. Unless you got proper laid out. Then it was over. Then it was over. Viewers, obviously want to get your opinions on everything today as well. We are going to start with, look, we're going to start with my club. I want to get it out of the way. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to get Man United out of the way. It's hard to know where to start in terms of the talking points because the Man United fan base is in meltdown. The media is defending Rashford. A lot of United fans are attacking Mainu. There's not a big percentage, but a loud, noisy little group talking about Amorim's not the guy. Ineos are getting more shit than the Glazers 6 months in. Where a week ago, we've done this 3 weeks running now. This time last week, we're singing fucking Kumbaya because we beat City. A week later, the world's ending. I don't know. My clubs, we know that our squad isn't very good. We got scoreline-wise, we got battered yesterday. Do you know the worst part is, though, if you're someone who likes XG, the last 2 games, Spurs and what they fucking called? Bournemouth combined, we had almost 6 XG and we conceded around 2. And yet we walked away in both games defeated, which again, if you like XG, that'll tell you a certain story. If you don't, then you won't give a fuck. But Man United losing yesterday, I'm going to just throw it out to the panel. What do you guys think the biggest problem at the club is right now that's leading to these results? Is it Amorim's system? Is it that Rashford's been scapegoated? Is the squad not good enough? What is it that's stopping the team from improving on the field of play?
I just think your squad's not good enough, Terry. I remember we kind of had this conversation, I think like when Amorim first got here. And I remember I said that your squad was trash. And you said
we were both here, Will. We remember.
We're not that bad and that it was basically 10 hog tax. And I think Amorim's been here for, is it like 9 games already? And yes, you went from 13th to 13th. The results aren't getting better. No managerial bounce. Set pieces, you guys can't really defend those. In attacking areas, you guys are not clinical. Because like you said, right, if you do care about XG, right, that game, yeah, you lost 3-0 on paper, but United had their chances, right? Bruno Fernandes, he had a few chances that you should say he should score one. I think Amad Diallo also had a good chance as well. So I just think your squad's not good. You need a major overhaul. But the thing that I'm thinking about, because I know a lot of United fans, you should be giving Amorim time. But I don't think that he has a long-term deal, right? Isn't it only like 2 years? So two and a half. So things kind of have to get better quicker than what I think a lot of you guys would want it to in terms of let's set low expectations, right? I've seen some United fans say that they don't want to be in Europe next season, only 1 game a week, those kind of conversations so that he can implement his style better. But I don't think he's going to have enough time to go through that kind of rebuild. But I just think that Ineos, they need to back him in January. They need to back him in the summer window. And you guys got to get rid of a lot of this deadwood that's in your team because
they got to get rid of the rats before they get rid of some of the
Hang on,
deadwood.
I'm not going to allow misinformation. We do not have a rat infestation.
I'm only guessing.
It's no, I was doing a joke there. You were in the fucking joke, Emery.
Right, sorry.
It's mice. It's
Better
mice.
than.
You're going to get this correct.
Okay, fair enough. They're
It's
smaller
not rats.
creatures.
And mice are lovely and they're sweet and they're very good for
Some
the
have them as
environment.
pets,
They're not rats. Exactly. They're not rats. So let's get that very, very clear. The worst, do you know what had an insult to injury yesterday? We're in the fucking press conference afterwards and the fucking roof starts leaking on the manager. Honestly,
that was sensitive there. That was amazing, man. Literally,
it was just crazy. Will, I want to address what you said there. I want to make sure I word this in the right way. I thought the squad was better than it's performing. I did. So I'll hold my hands up and say right now, got that absolutely wrong. I just think we're underperforming for different reasons, though. And the reason I say that is the structure in this team is better. And I think that things like XG, things like the volume of clear-cut chances you concede, I think a lot of that has to do with the system in which you play. And I feel that has already got better in these 9 games. And that's why we've been able to go away to Spurs and have a lot of the ball. Mistakes let us down. We had a lot of the ball against City, and we just didn't make mistakes in that game, and City are really poor. We stopped Arsenal for large periods of their game until their set pieces, which are it's like a witch doctor, and it scored. By the way, none of that means I think that we're finished article. There's a hell of a long way to go. Some of these players something's changing at Man United, and I don't care whether rivals see it or not because I can. And I think a lot of the players are not handling that pressure in terms of you start delivering or you're gone. I think things have changed. And I know a lot of people are calling out Ineos and they've got to clear out this squad. They've already started. They got rid of a lot of players in the summer that we all said were surplus to requirements. And look, Xerxes been a poor signing, 100%. But when we signed him, a lot of people went, oh, he's a decent player. I've seen him play. A lot of other clubs looked at him and thought he was decent. But Yoro's barely kicked a ball yet. Let's see what happens with him. I think Ugarte is starting to look like a good player for Man United, as an example. Who else did we sign? Who's the other major signing that we got?
You signed De Ligt. You signed Mazraoui.
Yeah, Mazraoui's been excellent. Barring the penalty yesterday, Mazraoui's been excellent. And I'll be honest with you, I've been very happy with De Ligt in the majority of games. So I don't think the first summer was a disaster in terms of the new players that have come in. But what's been highlighted, and this is the thing, no one is right about everything, including myself, and I would never pretend to be. 100%. But there are players in the squad that I thought with a better system would look better, would perform better. I did not think Lisandro Martinez would be as bad as he has been so far with this new manager. Some of the mistakes, a lot of people blame Bruno for the 3rd goal yesterday, and then people blame Mainu. Bruno's pass, it nearly got through. If it gets through, it's a world-class pass, puts Ahmad through one-on-one. Doesn't happen. Absolutely, I think Mainu's got to then be stronger in a challenge to win the ball back. But I have no idea why Lisandro Martinez is... Those two are sort of, you're trying to do something right and you kind of make a mistake. Lisandro Martinez just leaves a player 3 or 4, 8 or 9 yards of space by dropping deep when there's no one else behind him, no one else in front of him. Just stay with your man and stop the shot from happening. There's so many mistakes from these players, and I think they're not handling the pressure, they're not handling the new regime, and some of them, as you say, Will, I got this wrong, are nowhere near good enough, and I completely agree with you that this January is important. There's got to be a couple of players go. I think Rashford's going to end up being one of them. We have to go out and buy. I think
Terry,
we
how
need...
many players do you think will go?
When?
In January?
Let's say in the summer. I think it's going to be hard for you to ship out 4 or 5 players in January.
Yeah, we're not getting rid of 4 or 5 players in January. That's ridiculous. Again, unless you get some offers in for people. It's hard to say how many will go in the summer. I'm not going to put a number on it. What I will say is that in this time in 2 years, 60 to 70% of this current experienced first team squad's gone. You will get rid of a few in January. Sorry, Kunle. You'll get rid of, I think there'll be 4, 5, 6 that will go in the summer. And then the following January and summer, you'll get rid of another 4, 5, or 6. You add that all together, and that's about a 70% to 80% turnover from the original squad that Ineos inherited. That element, though, is going to take time. But I would be disappointed if this January we give the manager 0 new additions. We need more goals up front, and we need better quality in the central midfield areas. And I stand by this. I'm a big fan of Mainu. And I was disgusted to see people turning on him yesterday. But he's still a 19-year-old kid who is going to be inconsistent. Like all 19-year-old players through the history of football, I've said from day one, people can go back and watch the content. I did not want our midfield built around him at 19. I want him to be used sparingly still as he develops. We need to go out and get somebody that does what Manu does, but who's 23, 24, 25, got more experience, and you can build around. Manu needs to be nurtured. He shouldn't become the star of this team at 19 years of age, no matter how much or how good his ability is. That, for me, is something United fans have got to push on the owners to ensure they do. But look, as I say, before I go to you, Kunle.
Yeah.
What is it as good as big signings needed in January? I agree.
I'm going to try and say everything without a smile on my face, because when I do smile, people get triggered and think it's an attack. But literally, everything that's happening right now is for most rivals, it's not new to us. Like, all that's really happening is that the Man U fans that believed in the squad, like you said, are realizing that this squad wasn't as good as they thought it was. So maybe in their mind, they're like reevaluating the expectations, because I think those expectations, a lot of the fan base were basing it on this squad was better than they thought it was. So now all that's happened is they've realized it's not. So for me, Man U in the same place I thought they were when Amorim was there. He's going to have a lot of pain. He's going to have to clear out the squad, 10, 15 players eventually over the next 2 years or so. That's just what it's got to be. Like, I remember you said something this week on one of your shows, Terry. You talked about how it's important that we don't get too excited about players after one season. And I think that's something that a lot of Man United fans got when it came to Lisandro Martinez's first season. They were saying he was this player, that player, better than this player, that player. But we'd only seen him 1 year in the Prem. We didn't know yet. Let's give it a couple of seasons before we decided. And the same thing with Mano, quality player, like really good player. But again, most of your fan base propped him up to the point where maybe they didn't think you needed to buy that 23, 24-year-old player that can show him the way, to give him more space to go into the squad. And that's kind of what people are understanding now. But just like I said a few weeks ago, this thing is not easy. Like, there's a lot of the core of Manchester United is rotten. It's clear to see. It's rotten. Like,
it's a long process, that.
Yeah. Like, you can have a big day at City and win. Of course you can do that. Spurs can have a big day at City and win. That doesn't mean
we're not even in a conversation.
They've turned the corner. I'm just saying, like, you need to be realistic as Man United fans. There's a real possibility you could finish 9th or 10th this season, and that doesn't mean Amorim should get sacked.
No,
that just means that
I agree. I agree with that. Sorry, Henry. I just want to respond to that. You're spot on, and this is where Man United fans have got to stop attacking each other as well. And yes, I've been annoyed at United fans for going the way they have at Manu. I'm frustrated yesterday that there's suddenly people defending. Rashford was here, we might have won. Have you not watched the last 18 months? Equally, the reason that we're in this mess is not because of Rashford. I've also seen revisionism for Ten Hag. No. Maybe the squad isn't as good as some United fans that wanted Ten Hag out suggested. That does not mean that Ten Hag's system was not a major component and problem of the club. And getting rid of Ten Hag wasn't even about his coaching ability per se. It was the fact that we were starting something brand new. And it's often easier. And you've seen it with every single one of your... Well, you've seen it with Arsenal when Edu and Arteta came in. You saw it at Liverpool. FSG came in and brought their own people in almost straight away. You've seen it with Man City. They stuck with all of them, by the way, barring the Edu situation with Arteta. City stuck with the original manager they inherited for a while. Liverpool stuck with the original manager they inherited for a while. Newcastle did for maybe a little bit, if I'm not mistaken. But then they bring their own people in and it happens. And this is where Man United fans have got to wake up and smell the coffee, though. Well, none of us are going to get our predictions around how the next 3 years is going to go right in terms of getting it in. What's that thing called when something's in order? It's called not periodic.
Get your chips in order.
No, get your chips in order. It's when something's in chronological order. Chronological order.
That is a saying, by the way. Get your chips in order. That is a saying.
Is it?
I've generally not just made that up.
In your house, is that saying? I've never. Yeah.
Here we go.
Get your
in my
chips
Essex
in order.
household, yeah, I've heard that before. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think no one is going to predict things correctly in terms of chronological order. That isn't going to happen. But any Man United fan, and I said this, I get a lot of people calling me out, Terry, you said sacking the manager would make us better. That's a fucking lie. Never said it once. I said I think we need to move him on to improve in the long term. But anybody that thought we were just going to change managers and suddenly become a world-beating team, people have been saying that since Jose, and they're all stupid and they're all deluded because the club, not just the squad, needs a complete reset. And when you reset, you start again. And there's going to be games like yesterday. Amorim has been very honest about this stuff. He has said that we're going to get exposed in certain games and we're going to get hurt in certain games. And he's not said that to create a blanket for himself, a safety net. He said, this is what happened when I went to Sporting and we had to rip out everything and start again there, is that in the first little period, we got absolutely hurt by so many teams, because it's not just about changing the style of play. It's also about putting in all of you have had jobs. Tom Little, not so much yet. I'm talking real, now your age, real bona fide jobs. Suddenly someone new comes in and it's much more strict. There are certain people in your office that just go, well, fuck that, I'm off. I don't want to be pushed hard, because maybe for the last 2 or 3 years, they've got away with doing the bare minimum and they've still been paid and got bonuses. Now they realize, shit, if I don't work my backside off, I'm done here. So they become so they find it hard to perform. All these things are going to happen. United are not, we could win our next 3 games. The corner isn't turned. This is years of work ahead of us. And I've said it now from day one of Ineos, day one of Amorim. This is years. It is going to take time. There is no way to expedite the process. There is no way to streamline it. No other club has ever done what we're embarking on now and got it right within the first year. And I'm not talking about a team that's been winning titles that has a bad season or two. No one has been in the rot that we have been, or has never been successful and turn it around in the space of a season just because of a new manager and a few new signings. It is a long, painful, sometimes very dark, winding road. And Man United fans have got to prepare themselves for that. I'm not saying you shouldn't criticize things when they're bad, but remember, certain things can't all be done at what we cannot. We cannot build a new 100,000-seater stadium tomorrow. We cannot get rid of the entire squad tomorrow and buy a brand new one. Certain things will take time and need your patience. So that's my only real message on it. And I think that too many United fans, maybe they didn't say it publicly. I really think they thought, get a better manager with a fixed style of play, get the shape right, and we'll really start to cook.
Yeah,
and I think they've just been found out massively.
They thought the squad was better than it was, and that seems to be a common theme with recent United dilemmas. That Manchester United squad has not had false finishes recently. It's not finished 8th by unluckiness. It's not been battling around in mid-table all the season through unluckiness. There are good players in that squad. There is good talent in that squad, but it is surrounded by mediocrity and players that shouldn't be near a club of the standard of Manchester United. And in an ideal world for United, they get this rebuild done in 5 years. But that is to have a ridiculously high level of success in every transfer window, with minimal signings coming in and struggling. Every sale being successful, managing to get players off the books without any struggle or getting good money or anything. In reality, it's probably going to take a little bit longer than that, because due to the way the club was ran before Ineos got in, there are some people who are getting carried along and players who you might not be able to just get off the book within a year or get off the book straight away to a club. There might have to be some players who you pay off the rest of the contracts because the other clubs simply don't see them as viable options. If you want to, you might have to strip down to the bare bones, fully renovate it. But the one thing that requires, as you said, is patience. Do I necessarily think, not all, because I think that's harsh, but I do think there's a part of the United fan base that lacks that. And the moment things are going good, they're amazing. And we're back. And we're this and we're that. When they're going bad, it's horrendous. It's extremist. There's a very extremist part of it.
Let me ask you a question on that, Tom. What do you think motivates the over-gloating and the overreaction when we all know the true reality of Man United? What do you think creates that online? Why do people... Listen, of course, you banter City last week when you win, but I've seen people go too far with it. Equally, when we lose, suddenly the knives are out, everyone's being attacked. Why do you think the reaction is so toxic?
I think there's 2 reasons. I think one of them is just the way the culture's gone online, especially with the rival fans will push it on you, and then people who have weird things in fan bases who want to hate their own club, which is beyond me, then start pushing it as well, and it spreads like a little virus throughout. And the other thing
makes
with
money,
United,
Tom. That's the reality. Bro.
Yeah, but it's not the right culture to have in a fan base.
Crazy.
And I think the other thing is, I'm gonna use the term longing. It's probably not the correct term, but a longing for the standards that you used to have. You want to try and hold your club to the standards that it once had, when in reality, these players shouldn't be held to those standards because they never achieved what they never achieved what earns those standards. These players are being judged by standards which they simply can't live up to because they're not that good. But as fans, you shouldn't want to accept less than that because you've seen the good times. You've seen what Manchester United is. You know what Manchester United's built off. The reason you are one of the biggest clubs in the world is because of what was done all them years ago, and you want to hold your club to those standards and expect that from the club, or at least that part of the fan base do. And when it doesn't happen, it's right. Let's strip it down again. That what needs to happen is there needs to be an acceptance that those standards can't be used yet. Those standards need to be shelved for a good number of years until you have a squad that is achieving close to what those others did, and then you can put the standards against them. Right now, you should have standards of a Brighton. Hopefully, we can get a good European one together because you have a Brighton level squad.
No, wait, but Tom, I think, okay, one, because you said a lot there that I do kind of want to address. So, one, I think 5 years is crazy because they're Manchester United, right? It shouldn't take necessarily 5 years for them to be able to compete.
Wait, let him land. One sec.
Second thing is, I think it depends on what you're talking about in terms of a rebuild, right? Because in football, there's 3 or 4 trophies that a team can win every season. I do agree that United aren't going to be competing for the league anytime soon. But if they don't win the league, let's say in the next 4 or 5 years, but let's say they pick up maybe like 2 more FA Cups or they win the Europa League and stuff, like that can still be viewed as success, right? But I think it just all gets focused on the Prem. Like there's not other things that can be won. Now, obviously, right, Ten Hag, he won the Carabao Cup and he won the FA Cup, and they still were going backwards. So, yes, that's not the end-all, be-all. But I think when we talk about success, it's almost as if like the other trophies just don't matter at all because you still have to win them. They're still major honors.
For a football club the size of United, they don't.
Not winning trophies.
But of course it does matter though, Tom, because those trophies factor into your overall trophy haul.
A Manchester United rebuild should not should not have the peak be a Europa League win, and the peak should not be a domestic cup win. The reason why I say league win for United is because they are the second most successful club in English history. The standards are there for the club to achieve the top honours. And the reason why I say it'll be 5 years minimum is because football waits for no one. United are going to be improving across 5 years, but so is every other team around them.
Do you know what I think it comes down to? Well, yeah, everyone will, but there's only a when you're at the top, there's very little more you can improve.
Yeah, it's an exponential growth type thing.
Yeah, like Liverpool right now, Liverpool can't get much better.
Mm-hmm.
You're almost at maximum points. You're winning all your games. There's very little you can do to get better. So it's theoretically, it's easier to catch you. The distance between Man United and Liverpool is easier for us to close than it is for you to grow it again by that distance because of where you are. I get where Will's coming from, and I mean, we've had this conversation 100 times. We have to maintain those high standards in terms of that's where we've got to get to, but there has to be periods of patience within that. So I kind of felt, I was angry yesterday and I got very annoyed, and I think that's fair. But also, I've come to a realization over the games against Forest, the mistakes against Spurs, the mistakes yesterday, because again, a lot of our problems are mistakes. I'm at a realization that this squad needs an even bigger overhaul than I first thought. So therefore, I can't every week attack Ineos for not making my squad better yet when there's nothing they can do today to make the squad better. If we go through January, though, and sign no one, then there is room, I think, to make those complaints and criticize it as an example. Let's say we do sign a couple of good players and we improve. Because in January, we'll get... I'll come to an Amorim question in a minute. We'll actually get some time to train. Say we bring in... I'm naming these players. Viewers, do not get triggered. I'm just naming 2 players that have been loosely linked to us to prove the point I'm making. Don't take it seriously. Oh, Terrace are coming. Say we signed Edison for the midfield and Osimhen up front, and they're linked to us. And we start to win more games. There's 2 things I want Man United fans to remember. There's still going to be loads of bad results that come because they're not going to fix our squad. So even though we may get better, don't get carried away. Equally, when we hit those bad periods, if you get something that you want from Ineos this January, you don't need to fly off the handle with sort out this damn squad now. It's because you know they're going to. If they prove in January that they are going to keep trying to improve this squad, what my hope is that it generates more patience. Just because, look, there's enough stick we take as it is. And I get there are moments and times where we explode, and I do it as well. But I think there has to be times where you can maintain those standards, but see that your owners and your club are trying to move in the right direction, and just give it a little bit of time at least. And there's a question here I want to throw out to Henry, first of all. And it came through. There's two questions in there. It came in and says, Terry, if results don't change soon, Amorim won't last the season. Could be true. He goes on to say, Ineos got it wrong hiring him. Just admit it. Do you agree with Liverpool fan Ola that Man United got it wrong hiring Amorim, and we should just, essentially what he's saying here is admit it and sack him now because he isn't good enough? Is this on Amorim, in your opinion, Henry?
No, I don't think it's on Amorim. What I will say is, though, if we're sitting here come the end of Jan and he has been given the players and then the results don't improve, then I think you can start criticising him. But the games you've got coming up, you have got a tough run. Wolves away, Newcastle, Liverpool, Arsenal in the FA Cup. If you get knocked out of the FA Cup, does he then focus completely on the Europa League? Because, you know, that job is, I think Tom's right. It's a 5 to the way Man United are acting right now. It's a 4 to 5 year plan. They're not going to be like what Chelsea were, where they were 12th, spent hundreds of millions of pounds on players, got a manager in who they understood his style, bought players, more players, and then just improved, and he's gelled them. I don't think at this moment in time, even if Man United spent hundreds of millions of pounds, there's so much. You've got a cultural change from the very top. You've got imagine what the dressing room's like. Do any players side with Rashford that we don't know of? Does Ruben Amorim, does he completely isolate that situation? You know, does Ruben Amorim know his best 11? They're having to rely on a 37, 38-year-old Johnny Evans, who was at the club in 2009. Like that's not on Ruben Amorim. What is on Ruben Amorim, though, is at some point these players' mistakes will end up costing his job. Like Martinez, the mistake he made in Spurs in the Man United game when he fouls to clear it and then Kulusevski scores a tap in, or the mistake again made against Bournemouth. What's Ruben going to do? Drop him and bring in who? What? Johnny Evans comes back in. So look, get him in the January window. Give him tools he needs. If the results don't improve, then
the issue that you get with a lot of the challenge in it, and I see Maradona the moron saying this in there, is Terry just got it wrong. He said that sacking the manager would make them better. I didn't say that. Overall, I said there's a lot that needs to change for Man United to become better. And sacking Ten Hag, like I said, it was very little to do with him personally. And everyone who focused heavily on Ten Hag, he's the problem. They're the ones who have got, maybe that's why they're angry right now, because they've got mud on their face. Maybe that's why. I thought, yes, the squad was a little bit better than it is right now. And that's something I've got wrong. But overall, once I've calmed down after the moment of the game, because we could have won the fucking match if we took our chances. When you calm down after the moment and you look at it, we knew there was going to be peaks and troughs. We knew there was going to be ups and downs. And the fact we haven't had like a new manager bounce with this guy, for me, as a United fan, it actually fills me with a little bit more hope than if we won our opening 10 games under him and we looked amazing. Because we've kind of had new manager bounce and really good starts, maybe a loss or so in the first few games, but really good starts under most managers where you start getting really excited. And then we've been really let down later on down the line. So I'm hopeful something different is going on behind the scenes that's maybe leading to maybe some of these players are not giving their all because they realize their time's up, as an example. What is really weird seeing is that I've been a big fan of Rashford. It's really weird seeing the media suddenly start to say that actually he's a scapegoat and him being kicked out the team is crazy and should never have happened. That's the funniest bit of news I've seen today. Oh, they're only doing it so they can lower the wage bill. Yeah, partly so they can then they did this to Arsenal. I don't know if you guys watched the video I did earlier. I went and looked. Do you remember, Kunle, when a lot of Arteta outers were saying that, oh my God, between Arteta, Edu, and the Cronkies, they were lowering the wage bill, getting rid of the Ozils and the Aubameyangs, and they're doing it to save money. They're not really ambitious. The people don't realize this. I went and looked. The wage bill when Arteta and Edu came into power was 118 million a year on base salary. Do you know what the base salary is now at Arsenal per year?
What was it? 118 or 118? You said
118. It's now at
140 now. 150 now.
173 million. So
That's nuts.
and the reason why I said that is because this idea that, yes, in the beginning of most rebuilds where a club's got overpaid huge players on huge wages who are underperforming, is those players go first because you free those wages so you can reinvest it into the squad. If you keep those players, right, and get rid of the lower paid individuals, you've got less room to maneuver when it comes to buying people. So seeing the media today say Rashford's only going because he's one of the highest paid players, that is only because he's a high paid player who's underperforming. If Rashford was already on 20 goals this season, do you think they'd be getting rid of him? No. If he was doing what he did 2 seasons ago, we wouldn't be getting rid of him. When Arteta came in, if Ozil was still assisting and running games like in his early days at Arsenal, they wouldn't have got rid of him. If Aubameyang was delivering, behaving right, and scoring every week, they wouldn't have got rid of him. It's not because of the money. It's because they're not delivering for that money. And I honestly find it, but this is why Man United fans, some days you've got to have your moans, I get you. But you've got to read through this bullshit the media are throwing it. They are trying everything they can to trip up this rebuild. Rivals are doing it, and I understand. There is an element where we've got to try and stick together a little bit here. We've got to try and stick together a little bit and read between the lines, because it's crazy to me. It really is.
No, we don't want you to rally the troops like this, Terry. We don't like all that. Man. We want to disrupt this stuff, mate. Disruption. Rivals come together and disrupt. Because,
and I get rivals doing it.
Do you know what it is, though, Terry? Do you know what it is? I think that the world that we're in right now is so locked in on banter. So a lot of Manchester United fans are like, oh, we don't want to get bantered for the next couple of years. If that means a little extra years, if that means we go and win a league title in 5 years. They're focused on the quick fix so they don't get bantered. It's crazy. That's number one. Number two, people are scared to have their own opinions, like literally, and stand on them. So they have an opinion one week, everyone's changing it to something else next week. And they're like, oh yeah, let me follow. Rather than standing on it. Do
you know what I've realized this last few weeks? I believe that I believe that Ineos can and will get us back to a point where we look like title contenders in the next 3 seasons. I think they can do it. If they don't, I'll hold my hands up and say I got it wrong. I'm a man. I can do that. But what I've realized once I've said that is there's a lot more pressure in that than just slagging them off every week when one little result doesn't go right. There's a lot more pressure on that. As an individual with my real name and real face on show, when you give an opinion like that and you back something, it's almost like backing something's harder sometimes than being against it. In the sense of every little bump in the road, the attacks you get are crazy. Equally, if you're really against it and you slag every little bit off, every little win, people are going to come and attack you on. It's quite easy sometimes to sit there in the shadows and sort of say, I hope it works. I want it to work. Way we won, but keep digging and almost not really take a stance. And it is a difficult thing to do. But I feel the best course of action for United fans is to push for the high standards, but understand how long they take to come in place. And sometimes you've got to relax a little bit. In fairness, I wasn't very relaxed yesterday, as I admit. But overall, I'm still happy with the direction that we're moving in. I'm just disappointed that this squad isn't as good as I thought it would be. And whether that's ability with some, attitude from others, work rate from other individuals, I thought they would be a little bit better at this point under Amorim. Disappointing they're not, but I was going to have to wait till January now and see what we can bring in. Viewers, make sure you've hit the like button, please. Make sure you are subscribing to the Football Terrace. I really do appreciate all of you that are here. Moving on from my club because it's depressing. Oh, she is here now. Hello, Kate. Hello, Kate. Spurs, Henry. I know you scored 3 goals yesterday, but it was another beating.
Couldn't we have started with this?
I heard a rumor that you weren't happy again with Big Ange. Break down what Big Ange did wrong yesterday for you.
Look, let's get one thing out of the way. Liverpool by far the better team, right? No Spurs fan thought we would go and get 3 points out of that. Like, if we did, it would have been one of those freak results against Man City. For me, like, you look at our lineup, that's probably the best lineup we could have picked, right? We're suffering with injuries galore. The thing that gives me the raging hump angry about this situation is, I understand Ange wants to play his style of football. I understand he's got his brand. But that brand of football is only realistic against certain teams. You cannot play that open football against the best team in Europe right now, who are top of the Premier League, who are top of the Champions League, who we've now got to play twice in the Cup. The in-game, the changes. Maddison, up until the 60th minute, was the only one who could get on the ball and actually create and dictate. And he hooks him off and throws to an 18-year-old Bergvall. I just didn't understand the tactics. Did not understand the tactics. And for me, I've said this for a while, the writing's on the wall. I think if we're still sitting here by the end of the January window, then I don't know where we go. I don't want to sack Ange for Mason. I think we've been there far too many times. But the first goal, you can't give Trent Alexander-Arnold that amount of space to cross the ball in for Luis Diaz. We all know, looking at our defence, Archie Gray and Radu Dragusin are not Romero and Van de Ven. They can't take the ball in at pace on the turn. They're not that lightning quick. Radu Dragusin's good in the air, and that's really about it. So he constantly keeps trying to resist and keeps trying to play this brand of football. And he said in his press conference, I'm not going to change anything. Like, as a manager, the way I see it is you have to change your setup at times to who you're playing. Every football manager should do that. Liverpool went, if we just get a couple of goals, that's it. It's game done. And as soon as I got the first goal, it was a great header from Luis Diaz. The second goal, we gift them. We showed a bit of grit. We showed a bit of determination to get back in. Great finish from Maddison. Then Jed Spence decides to sprint 25 yards out of his defensive line to try and tackle someone. Trent puts a ball over the box, and then we're 3-1 down at half-time. Like, we've conceded 63 shots in our last 3 home games. We've lost 8 Premier League games. I don't know what more people suggest. I understand, Kate. I completely understand your point. If we sack him, Mason's, we're going to be even fucking worse. But there's plenty of other managers out there. There's got to be another manager that would look at Liverpool and go, lads, just keep it tight. At 2-1, if we go in at 2-1 at half-time, a manager would say, keep it tight first 15 minutes, you will get your chances. And let's not
was
forget,
it his fault you didn't go 2-1 at half-time, though? That's shocking, that third goal you conceded, bro.
The third
shocking.
goal.
You can't do anything about that, man. Come on, man.
Yeah, we had the family round.
When you say you can't do something about that, is that... listen, Dragusin was late to the header, etc. But is that not about his system? He's not training and coaching the players to shut up shop at that point, be compact and hard to beat? Or do you think that's just poor quality players? How do you see that, Kunle?
Dude, they are, mate. At the end of the day, man, it's like, are you not entertained? Look. Like, let's be. I'm not even trying to be funny now. Like, Ange has owned who he is, isn't it? Like, this is who I am. It's who we are. That's what Tottenham is about. Getting bums off seats, getting them excited, raising blood pressures, exciting 6-goal thrillers, and that's what I think. That's what Levy wants at the stadium right now. Get more bums in the seats, more people excited to come to the stadium, and that's it. And that just happens to be what things are. So in terms of sacking Ange right now, like you're gonna sack him to then potentially finish 7th anyway. What's the point? Literally, what's the point?
We're now at the point where
look, because hold on. Right now, he's in a situation where, yeah, I know you're playing Liverpool, but football's a crazy game. It's a crazy old sport, this football thing, isn't it? So you never know what you can do on 2 legs against Liverpool. He's like, you see what happened last time you sacked the manager before the final. You lost the final, so let's not jump the gun now. Big Ange might get there, but I don't see another manager coming in and changing the odds for that game anyway. So you might as well give him a go, because he has said second season I'm going to win a trophy. So give him a chance. And I love the fact that he owns what he's on.
Yeah, I respect the fact that he won't change it. I respect that as a man, as a human being. Stand by your morals. I'm all for that. But you can't tell me
stand by your morals.
Looking at that Liverpool side, thinking I'm going to play with Jed Spence, a right back at left back, a midfielder at centre back, and Radu Dragusin, and think it's going to go well. Like, and the amount of times we've had pacings this season. Man United, we were 3-0 up. We nearly threw it away. 2-0 up against Brighton. Like, let's be honest. If Diaz, Jota, not Diaz, who Szoboszlai, take those chances, the media would be absolutely crucifying us right now. Because it's a good brand of football, I don't think we get nowhere near as much heat as we should right now. Like the worst Man United are, we're only a point above them. If we lose to Forest, like it's a hypothetical, if we lose to Forest and they beat Wolves, we're down in 13th. Now, I understand give them the cup run because anything can happen in the cup. But I reckon there's more chance of going to Anfield and coming away with a win. I reckon I've got more chance of going down to Tesco's, buying a scratch card, right, and walking back and telling the missus, do you know what? I've just won 100 grand. Let's go to Vegas for Christmas. Because he's not going to change.
Yeah,
And
but Henry,
VAR's back, bro. You got a chance, man. VAR's
but
back.
like, who would have thought that United would have beat City in the FA Cup, right? Like, it could happen, right? So I think his job should be contingent.
Our record against Liverpool is horrendous, Will.
Tottenham have won 2 out of the last 24 games against Liverpool.
Yeah, that is kind of crazy.
So you saying
but I do think that his job security should depend on the cup. Like, if you guys get battered in like the first leg, and let's say like there's no chance.
His job security should be entirely dependent on the cup because he's got them in 11th.
Yeah, like I mean, but at the same time though,
he's been off the league to try and win a cup, and he's not even going to win the cup.
Let me ask you one question because I know Kate's going to want to come in. Do Nottingham Forest have a better squad than Tottenham?
No.
Do Bournemouth have a better squad than Tottenham?
No.
Do Brentford or Brighton or Fulham? But those teams are all above us.
Nah, but not like in general though. Like,
8 points clear at the moment. They're not just
But the thing is though,
miles clear.
But the thing is though, like, so I was like one of those people that was defending Ange because I thought, well, he's at Tottenham, right? So you can't necessarily hold him to any ridiculously high standards necessarily, and he's playing good football in terms of the entertainment value. But I think I have to, like, what I've come to the realization is he's just not a good manager, because it's kind of like what Henry's saying in terms of what is he doing? Like, I think Tottenham are probably one of the easiest teams to prepare for. And I think as a manager, you have to be able to make in-game adjustments. You have to be able to switch it up sometimes depending on the situations that are going on. And he just doesn't do that. So in my opinion, right, it's kind of like when Terry brought up the example earlier in the show about people who are at work and they're just getting away with not doing anything. I kind of think that that's Ange, because as the manager, what are you doing that managers are supposed to do? Because I just don't see it. So I think that, again, it should just be 100% contingent on this Carabao Cup, right? If you guys get knocked out, then he should be sacked immediately, because I don't think that tactically it can get much worse for Tottenham because he's not necessarily doing anything tactically anyways. So,
Will, sack him to then do what? Sack him to then do what?
This is also the problem.
That's why I want to know.
Other manager, and I think
do what though? To then do what?
Say it again.
To bring in another manager to then do what by the end of the season? To then do what? Achieve what?
Well, you just need somebody that's going to probably bring more stability, because the way that they play, like that kamikaze style of football, it's not working for them. Like, they don't have the squad to be able to play the way that Ange Postecoglou wants. And he just doesn't seem to realize that. So I think that's why I have a problem with him, because every manager in the world adjusts their tactics, but he doesn't. And he's at Tottenham. It's not like he's at like Madrid or Bayern Munich, or let's say like Man City a few years ago. He doesn't have one of those kind of squads where he doesn't have to worry about what the other team's doing. I think Tottenham should be overly relying on trying to be reactive versus where he's not. So yeah, Ange's not a good manager.
Tottenham are so easy to play against. They're so easy to play against.
You are right, Kate. Obviously, you spoke about the game yesterday. I just sort of feel 24 hours later, there's a lot of people calling for Ange to go. I've watched a lot of reactions on sort of watch-alongs yesterday, and people phoning into TalkSport. A lot of people calling him out. And then there's another group of Spurs fans which are almost, they understand maybe the flaws in Ange, but they feel that it's more about the squad that had built for him, the money that's being spent, and the direction the club's going in at kind of board level. How are you seeing this, Kate? Maybe 24 hours on after that defeat, considering you are sitting mid-table.
Look, if you take Arsenal to Liverpool, right, and you take out Saliba, Gabriel and Raya, they're at a massive disadvantage straight away. And Arsenal's substitutes, their second choices are far better than ours. No one is taking into consideration the fact that we're down to the bare bones of our team. Yes, everyone says that we can't make excuses, but this isn't an excuse, it's a fact. We've got 8 injuries and their key starting position. Davis, who actually has been playing well. I mean, Henry mentioned the Man United, how we nearly threw it away. That's nothing to do with Ange at all. That was Forster making 2 ridiculous errors. Yesterday, look, we showed some naivety. I definitely think Ange, there's ways he can improve. I was personally expecting to see more of the team and the style of play we played against Man City, where we dropped the high line back a bit. The fullback don't defend, don't invert, and we kind of get them on the counter attack. But I don't honestly think we've got the team at the moment that can play that way. We're missing Benton Kerr as well, who's been playing out of his skin for us. And it's just, I just think Spurs fans, they make me laugh, because all they did when we had Conte and Mourinho is scream for an attacking manager. Now we've got an attacking manager. They want us to be more pragmatic. I agree. There is somewhere in the middle where we need to be. But what on earth is the point of sacking Ange Postecoglou right now? All we're going to do is put Ryan Mason there, who's done it before, and he's useless. If we're going to sack Ange, give him to the end of the season, see where we're sat, and then take it from there. We're still potentially in 3 cup competitions, right? We can it's been a long time since Tottenham have got to Christmas and still be in 3 cup competitions. I said at the start of the season, I'll take finishing 15th if we win a cup. I still feel that way. For me, we need to get that monkey off our back and get a cup and get a trophy. But I just don't understand why, if we had a plan in place and we had a good manager sitting and waiting to come in, it's different. But there's no plan. We're literally just going to bring in Ryan Mason. So I don't see the point. I'd rather just see how it goes to the end of the season. And then if it doesn't work, start again.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, but Kate, you brought up
Saka
the injuries that you guys have, but I don't think that actually matters, because even when you do have Van de Ven and Romero, you guys still can't keep clean sheets. So I get what you're saying in terms of like the quality.
City. We kept clean sheet against Man United. There's 2, and both away from home.
Who was your centre-back partnership against City, Kate?
It was Ben Davis. Right, do you see what I mean? It was an experienced head. We haven't got any experience in the back line.
I've got a question for you on that, Kate. Of your last 35 games in the Premier League, going back into last season, your last 45 games, you have lost 20 of them, and I believe you have drawn, I'm just going to get this stat right, so 4 in that period last season and 2. So you've lost, of those 45 games, you've lost 20 and you've drawn 6. And I understand you've got centre-back issues now, but you haven't had those centre-back issues that entire time. You've had them play in that, and the win percentage has been very, barring those opening 10 games, well, I think he won 9 of them. The win percentage has been very, very low indeed. Whether you've got injuries or not, it still seems to lead to the same problems. And you've asked me a few weeks ago about sticking by Ange, and I look at it this way. Listen, if your replacement for him is just going to be Mason, whatever his name is, then yeah, Ryan Mason, then I get where you're coming from. But I'm at this point where maybe Tottenham fans have just got to ask for something that's in the middle of what they're trying to. I think I agree with Will 100%. If Big Ange took over Bayern Munich, I think he could do phenomenal. If he took over Real Madrid, I think he could do phenomenal. I think he needs to manage a team that's in a league where they are the or one of 2 monopoly teams. I think that's what he needs. I think that's his kind of profile of club. What Tottenham need is Bournemouth's manager. What Tottenham need is somebody that can, and please don't take this as an insult. You guys are never going to buy the best players or keep them, typically speaking. So you need a manager who is in that kind of middle of the road area, who I think can adjust his team and can adapt. And there's so much to what Big Ange does, which I think is brilliant. But I did look at yesterday. You got 2-1 and you had no right being at 2-1 before half time. What most competent tacticians would do at that point is, right, guys, let's see out the next 5 minutes. Let's get to half time. Let's make it hard for Liverpool at the start of the second half. There's 1 goal in it. The fact you were so open for those last 5 minutes and you conceded, it actually annoyed me. And Jamie Carragher said something yesterday that made me think. Has any manager, cup or league, ever won a trophy in a major league playing like Ange does? A team like Tottenham. I just can't think of anyone who plays that openly and that expansively who's ever won anything. And I'm not saying managing the best team in that league or something. I'm talking in the scenario we're in. I can't think of anyone who's been successful doing it. And that's where I think this Spurs board have got to look at this and say, have we got the right manager for how we want to behave as a football club? And this is what I'm saying. I don't think it's about Ange being crap. I think it's about him not being right for Tottenham, because to go 45 games in the league, to lose 20 of them, that's crazy. When you actually, it's really not good. And I was looking at that from a point of view of like relegation. If you look at last year's relegated teams, like the two of the teams that went down last season lost 24 matches. You're only 4 defeats behind, slightly bigger sample size because it's 45 games, granted, but sort of 20 to 30 games being lost is the sort of space that the relegation teams sit in. And you win loads as well. You don't draw as many as those teams. You win them. But I'm at a point, not that Spurs fans care too much about my opinion, but I think if your board ain't changing, your club has got to look to move on from Big Ange and find something more suitable for what they want to do.
The problem is on that though. Just one sec. Sorry, Kate. If we to Kate's point, if we sack Ange, they will bring in Ryan Mason, because it's a dilemma, because I want to sack.
Whoa! A dilemma.
Too many words going around.
That chocolate bar, no?
If we sack Ange right now, which competent manager is looking at us right now going, yeah, I fancy a bit of that. But at the same time, if let's say we do get knocked out against Liverpool and we're sitting 13th, 14th in the league, I don't know. Is it a double-edged sword? If we get past Liverpool, by all means, if he wins us a cup and gets that monkey off our back, every single Spurs fan would be over the moon to finally see a bit of silverware. What about him? And we're sitting 14th still. It's kind of like, well, what do we do now then?
What about Eric Diamella? He's pretty good. He can come in and manager, can't he?
Look at Silver at Fulham. They don't have a superior squad, but look at the way he played against Arsenal. Look at the way he played against Spurs or Liverpool. He's changing his approach to the way he plays against Brighton or against Villa. Like, we've had Nuno. Nottingham Forest don't have a better squad than us. No way.
You weren't happy with Nuno, Henry.
No, you didn't treat Nuno very well.
Yeah, you didn't treat him right, man. Look, when he got treated right, look at him. He's top 4 now with Nottingham Forest. Bit of backing, bit of patience. Yeah, he did well at Wolves as well before that. He got Wolves solid, man.
Give him a proper striker like Chris Wood instead of some Harry Kane, and all of a sudden you get the same side.
Dead guy.
But then you've also got to look at some of the players we've bought for Ange. Like, I'm not even going to get started on our transfer policy.
Kate, though, the first question to you, I don't want to trigger Spurs fans, but I have to ask it this way. Do you think that when Nuno came in, I always felt he was on a hiding to nothing. And I'm very open about this. Nuno is a manager that I used to work with when I was at Barclays. I knew him quite well back then. He's a lovely bloke. So I've got a bit of a soft spot for him. But I felt like when he came in, there was almost like an arrogance from the Tottenham fans. Oh, we're better than this. And I didn't think that set him up for the best of times at Tottenham. No, I did. Do you think some of this is on Tottenham fans for maybe thinking you're a bigger, better, more successful club than you actually are? Like living above, almost like the sort of champagne lifestyle, but lemonade money.
Yeah. Fake it till you make it.
Do you know what? First of all, I was pleased when we got Nuno. I wasn't on YouTube then, but I was pleased. I liked Nuno. I got a lot of time for him. And I think with the way Spurs treated him was a disgrace. I certainly think Tottenham fans think they're better than they are. I think, I've said it before, getting to the Champions League final lifted everyone's expectations up here when really we weren't ready to be up there, And the thing is, we've had these win-now managers. Conte's always won trophies wherever he's gone. Comes to Spurs, win nothing. Mourinho, all right, he was sacked before the final, but won nothing. Nuno's doing a fantastic job at Forest. AVB, Redknapp, Pochettino, all these managers. There's one common denominator in all this, and it's Daniel Levy. And yes, Ange Postecoglou has come out and said, these are my signings. But at the end of the day, he's not going to come out and say they're not. Number one, because then he loses the dressing room. Number two, he loses his job. So people can throw the blame and say Werner was signed twice by Ange. Does anyone honestly, really, truly think Ange Postecoglou looked all through the transfers possible and he chose Werner twice?
No,
come on.
No, I agree. I agree.
And it was the same with Conte. He was asking for players and getting the Primark version. I don't think it matters who manages my club. I don't think it matters at all. All the while Levy's there. There's limitations on what they spend. There's limitations on what wages they pay, which is a massive limitation. So for me, whoever comes in, we could sack him and go and get, I don't know, Graham Potter or Thomas Frank. We'd be sitting here in 18 months having this same conversation.
No, but
Pochettino
Kate,
was blessed. He had a fantastic squad that all gelled and clicked at the right time. There wasn't one massive dominant force at the time. We had our opportunity to take the sort of reins and push on. Levy decided we'd go 2-3 transfer windows, whatever it was, won't buy anyone. And instead we'd go and open a new stadium. And now look where we are.
But Kate, you brought in a manager that could kind of handle, is used to handling small resources in Nuno, and your fan base lost it. That they didn't want him. They didn't want to give him time because he was playing terrorist football, as they said. But who knows? That could have been better for you in the long run than what has been going on in the last couple of years. You never know. I
can't speak to this fan base. I'm lost. I'm at a loss with this fan base. I think I'm too old for YouTube because the fan base of my club, I'm baffled by it. There's no pleasing some people. We win 4-0 and people are screaming on stream that we won 4-0. If we lose, they're screaming. If we have one manager, they're screaming. Another manager. Do you know what? I'm just at a loss. So I just prefer to just enjoy the ride. In the great words of Ronan Keating, life is a roller coaster. You've just got to ride it. And that is exactly what I do with Spurs. And whatever will be, will be. I can sit here and scream, Ange out. It ain't going to make any difference. Sorry, go ahead, Tom. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Thomas Frank could be a good pickup for what Tottenham
I was going to say, so you don't think you're a bad fan for backing Ange and you're letting the club down?
Apparently, some people would say I'm not a proper fan. Not a bad fan, but just not a proper one.
Because you did call out Kate yesterday, Henry, very disgracefully. You said she weren't a proper fan because she's backing Ange, and then you said, "Get the fuck out of my football club, you care." I heard you. Like,
No, the thing.
Didn't he write that in the group chat? No,
no, in the one that I'm in, he said, "Tell this Kate to fuck off." And he said, "Jimbo's a mug, and I'll do him." That's what he said.
The thing for me is, I think. But for Tottenham to get what Levy wants, we have got to be in the top 4, right? But this squad is nowhere near top 4 level. So there's got to be somewhere in the middle where we can be between 4th and 8th, which I think is where this squad is. I think this squad is but anywhere between 6th and 8th place right now. While doing that, while being in Europe, I think a lot of Spurs fans would be content with that. If we were sitting 7th right now, I think a lot of Spurs fans would be like, do you know what? We're not far off the Europa League positions. Win a couple of games, we're in there. What annoys me is I can't see this manager ever changing anything. And the results speak for themselves. The stats add up. The writing's on the wall. So if we're going to continuously back a guy who has shown for the last 18 months, other than the first 10 games, that he's not willing to change, then what is the point in keeping him? What is the point in fucking turning up? I'll give you an example, right? Watch when we played Liverpool. The first 30 minutes, evening, Jim. The first 30 minutes would be absolutely fantastic. We'll come at the traps flying. We'll be right up for it. Then Arne Slot, right, will grab a hold of the game because he'll manage it. He'll get Gravenberch on the ball, who's press resistant and a fantastic footballer who's in unbelievable form. Then he'll get Szoboszlai right now, who's in. I probably reckon that is his best performance he's had in his Liverpool career yesterday.
One of them, yeah.
Unbelievable. Then he's got McAllister. Then he'll get hold of the game. He'll get up a couple of goals. Our backside will fall out like it usually does. And then we've got to go to Anfield and try and win the game. And if we don't beat Liverpool, which I think is very unlikely that we will, we're going to be sitting where we are. So what is it?
Henry, I do think that you guys have a good, a good team in terms of. I think Spurs are very talented. So I don't necessarily agree. Now, obviously, okay, we have to factor in injuries because that's just what happens throughout the course of a season. But I kind of do disagree, with you, Kate, in terms of, well, if you bring in a new manager, then what are they going to necessarily do? Because Levy's the problem. I think that Levy has, even though I don't necessarily rate the guy, I think that you do have a very talented team. And I think that you should be able to make a lot more noise.
That's in spite of Daniel Levy, though. That's in spite of Daniel Levy. They have a good team because they finished in positions to just buy players. If Daniel
But isn't he the one that's
Levy,
buying the players,
No, but they
though?
still have the players.
no,
Tom, that's what he's trying to say.
It's not
but
his job to buy the players.
Daniel Levy,
Da.
Daniel Levy treats Tottenham as a secondary.
Da.
For fuck's sake. Daniel Levy doesn't see Tottenham as the priority at Tottenham. He sees Beyonce concerts or the F1 tracks or whatever else it is at that stadium as the priority, and Tottenham is second.
Love it, Beyonce.
Well, yeah,
I'll be honest.
Be doing better though, Tom. Regardless of what you're saying,
It should be. I'm not trying to down. I'm not saying that Ange Postecoglou was fine because he's 13th of the squad. No, he's not. But I didn't think that in the summer, Thomas Frank should be the guy that they move mountain, heaven and earth to try and bring into that football club, because that's a man who can work with a small budget, work with players who necessarily aren't the greatest initially, find ways to develop them, and is willing and is able to actually tactically adapt to his opponents. After 10 games last season, a blueprint was created to beat Tottenham Hotspur. We are now on the 23rd of December 2024. That same blueprint beats Tottenham.
But that's Ange's fault for not adjusting. That's the manager.
I agree.
Like, I don't think that that's like an indictment on their squad. Like, if you look at it, when healthy, right? I could make the argument that Tottenham have probably the most talented back line when healthy. You got Pedro Porro, you got Mickey Van de Ven, you got Christian Romero, and Destiny Udogie. That's a very talented back line. There's no reason that when all of them are out there, they should be looking so trash defensively. Let's not act like they're not a good
Which one of those players would you take at Madrid?
We are not moving on. We are not moving.
Hold on,
How dare you?
Hold on, because I would take Pedro Porro right now. And I would take one of Romero or Mickey Van de Ven at Real Madrid right now.
Look at how Romero plays for Argentina. When Romero plays for
wouldn't.
Argentina, he's fucking phenomenal.
Brilliant.
When he plays for us, he's trying to do a Cruyff.
Bro, it's the manager. Like, look at that. It's, as I said, it's kamikaze style of football. Like, Ange Postecoglou, he starts games off as if they're already down 2-0. That's a managerial. That's why I asked earlier, what does he do? Like, I cannot understand what is Ange doing every week before a game, because he's going to play the same style, right? Like, they're so predictable. So I literally think that he's at Tottenham. He just shows up, goes through training, and then when he goes home, he's not thinking about what the other team's going to do. He's probably not even watching film for the team that they're going to be going against.
Well, I won't lie to you. As soon as you said Tottenham have a talented back line,
is not talented, right? They also have Bukayo, who's a talented goalkeeper.
Oh,
they're
you're
midfield.
dying on this.
No, I agree with
They're
you.
midfield.
They do have some good players. They do have some good players. They do.
Let's not act like this is a terrible team.
They have some good players. They do have some good players. They do have some good players. What you said, Will, that I love though, is Ange starts every game like they're 2-0 down. It's maybe the best. Brilliant. Listen, viewers, we're going to do some super chats here, but the big question for you all is should they keep Ange? Should they get rid of him? Well, it is a real dilemma. It's a real dilemma.
That's a great one.
I've got to say, Will's take that we've got one of the best back fours is unbelievably
hilarious.
No. I said
even
talented.
Whichever word you use there.
Either way, that's no.
So which back fours in the world do you think can compete with Tottenham's talent-wise?
I mean, you asking me that on the spot. I'm just looking at it player for player. I think that's
you said it, bro. You got to back your talk, Will. What did you make that statement based on? No, put him on the big screen. Terry, put him on the big screen. Explain yourself, bro.
That is a very talented back line.
Okay, explain it to us. Go on.
Okay, I think Pedro Porro, right, going forward. Yeah. I think that he's one of the best attacking fullbacks in the world. You have Romero, who's won a World Cup. You see him for Argentina perform at a very high level, right? Mickey Van de Ven, he's talented. The issue with him is that he can't stay fit. And then Destiny Udogie, I think he's a good all-around left back. So, like, this is what I'm saying in terms of that back line should be able to look a lot better. But because they're being set up in a chaotic way, right? They're playing so high up the pitch, they're going to get caught out.
Oh, okay. Let me ask you, Will. On a purely talent basis, we're not looking at results or anything because it's different managers. On a purely talent basis, which back line is more talented? Arsenal's or Tottenham's?
Oh my God, he's thinking about
Arsenal.
Say the right answer.
Oh,
Arsenal.
Right, okay. Wait, here's the thing, though. So,
there's a thing.
Yeah, literally.
No. Arsenal, obviously, because look at what they do defensively, and their center back pairing is better. But I would rather have Tottenham's fullbacks over Arsenal's fullbacks. But I would take Arsenal's center backs.
Okay, so what about Liverpool then? For example, Liverpool, which
let me
back
ask you
line has more talent?
Borrow over Timber, yeah.
Liverpool.
If
I would take
Tottenham's back
Udogie
four-
over Andy Robertson.
Okay.
If Tottenham's
Borrow
back
over
four,
Timber, yeah.
Tom, was
Borrow
coached
over
by
Timber, yeah.
Slot,
Mhm.
right? If Slot was if you had Tottenham's back four in Liverpool's team,
Yeah.
they would perform a hell of a lot better than what they do in Ange's system.
They would do.
Right.
Not-
Why
but
is
they're
that?
They're not because there's a structure and there's protection in front of them.
Right. But the system he plays, our fullbacks are higher advanced, right? than our number 8 is.
Like literally. They're basically like their back line basically plays like extra midfielders, like how high up the pitch they are. And then
Our
they
average
get caught out.
positions, we've got in the last 3 games, it's Dragusin, and then fucking
But
everyone
by the
else is
way,
up there.
by the way, I know the system hangs on to dry, but Dragusin is so bad at points. Oh my god! If you talk about a player whose arse falls out, oh my god!
He would be
When it
perfect
goes
for
bad for
Everton.
him, when
You
it
put him
goes
in
bad
Everton's
for
back
him,
line,
he's
he'd be
horrendous.
phenomenal.
I mean, I don't know if you saw after the game yesterday, Gravenberch on an interview. Slot's plan was just to target Dragusin. You had an 18-year-old Archie Gray at centre back, and we targeted Dragusin instead because we know he's more of a liability. We know he'll make more mistakes.
Wait, so let me ask you a question, Tom. So let's say like your manager, right? I think like Arne Slot has come in, and I think he's arguably one of the best managers in the league. His in-game adjustments are fantastic. He usually gets it right. So let's say if Arne Slot was at Tottenham, you don't think that they would be maybe fighting for that top 4 right now with that squad?
It'd be in and around top 4, yeah.
With Arne Slot. Would be 5th or 6th.
And they would look a lot better defensively, right? Like we wouldn't be talking about them getting cooked or how they're so exposed.
Yeah, but we're not at the start of the season, Will. So to change it now just doesn't make sense. I don't think anyone does better than Ange does right now.
I would do better than Ange. You would do better than Ange. Henry and Kate would do better than Ange because everybody with the brain and eyes knows what's the problem. It's the style of play.
Hey, I don't know if I could beat City, bro. Will I don't know if I
wouldn't because I'm not a good judge of squads. I wouldn't, so I'm gonna not jump to that. Super chat here says, my Arsenal brother smiling through the Tottenham section. Yeah, I mean, why would Arsenal fans not smile?
Are you in his section?
Hey, is that you in it, Henry? Hey, we're like, funny. This is great. He says, "We ride together, we die together. High line for life."
Sensational quote.
Absolutely amazing. But if you haven't watched the new, not that I'm promoting them at all, they haven't paid me to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway. The new Bad Boys 4 was actually a lot better than Bad Boys 3. I like Bad Boys 3, but number 4 was a lot better. Not as good as the original, though. The original was the one, bruv. But again, us 90s kids remember that stuff properly. Kate and Jimbo were grown-ups then. But
Boy, there ain't much difference between our ages there, Gobake. So, don't give me a nod. There's not much difference.
That is true. That is true. But I use a lot of oil of Ulay. Do you know what I mean? So I'm all right.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And my hair's mine.
Hey, hang on. My hair is mine. I just redistributed it. It from the back of my head.
I didn't need to redistribute mine anywhere.
But you are a woman. If you went bald, that'd be a real problem. Do you know what I mean? If you just randomly went bald as a woman, but fair enough. Hand eyeline Postecoglou. That's what he is.
To be fair, the fact that it was like 5-1 yesterday, and Tottenham was we were still getting in behind off one pass. It was mental. At what point do you go, right, lads, drop 5? We're going to hold out at this.
They were chasing the game, though.
Chasing
Mike
the game
here,
what 5-1? It's done.
Mike here, who probably didn't appreciate. Mike here, who probably didn't appreciate the bald comments, says, "Hi, Terry, new subscriber, Gunnar as well." Big up, Mike. Okay, good. He's a new member as well. Big up yourself for becoming a member. And if you need a hookup, I've got a little thing coming in March, so keep your eyes out for it. Look how well Nottingham Forest are doing. Would Spurs fans would you take Nuno back? Question for the Spurs fans.
Well, right now.
Well, yes, right now. Not in a year.
Now, I would take Nuno over
right
Ange.
Now.
Yeah. I'd take Nuno over Ange right now.
No, I wouldn't. I'd take Poch back, though. But that's because I love him.
What?
Jimbo.
You know
Yeah, but
what,
he's-
Tom? You can laugh and you can mock, but he would have that team playing a damn sight better than Ange. It would be better
Yeah.
organised. We'd have a proper defence.
No,
he had us
she's-
playing
she's
some
right.
sublime football.
He did.
You probably
He
don't remember
did.
though. You were probably in nappies.
Oh my God! I tell you what,
Was
you're going
that
at
long
everyone
ago?
today.
Hey,
That long ago?
You're going at everyone today. Wow.
You know, Tom was being breastfed back then, 100%. He was being breastfed 110%. The maddest bit is when I picked him up to go to Germany, he was still being breastfed. He loved it. That's why he doesn't eat food. That's why
Fuck's sake.
KJ, we've got to the bottom of it. That's why he doesn't eat food. It's because he's still being
Fuck's
breastfed.
sake.
That's what it is. That's what it is. James White here says, I want the PS5. Terry. Yes, we have got a super chat goal challenge. If we get there, one of the super chatters will be picked to win a PS5. No one's won it yet. We're also giving out free memberships as well. So thank you very much. He says, what does he say? And on Man United, I am youngster moving
On
correct.
Man United, I'm youngster moving correct. It would take time. Keep up. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know what you're trying to say there, but it sounds like you're saying give it time. I'm going to give it some time and faith. Yeah, but thanks. I don't know what that's meant to say, but thank you, James. I appreciate that. This is from Steve Early. Says, hi, Terry. I've got a feeling you're not as bad as you think. Few bad fish out the door, 4+ new players, and you'll be good. Yeah, listen, that's where I listen. I agree and I disagree. I feel like we are bad. But if you sign a couple of good players in January that come in and fit into the system straight away, you could see there's a fundamental opportunity that games like we've just lost to Forest and to Bournemouth that we could turn into wins and we will start improving. But Man United fans still shouldn't get ahead of themselves, Steve. We should still keep our feet firmly on the floor for a while. Hit the like. Thank you very much, Luke Skywalker, for encouraging everybody to hit that like button. I love this super chat. It says, welcome to Arnie Slot's Penitentiary and Postanoglu. Very well put together. I like that. I do. Robert here says Spurs' high line is as high as Professor's. Oh, Professor Hamza's hair, I think they're talking about. But that hairline goes right back to his neck, bruv. That's not high. That's gone. Like, that's finished, bruv. Do you know what I mean? It's true. Do you know what I like when he gets stressed and he's like, he leaves the sides grow out? I actually think bald men should bring that back. Not the side hair. Like, my dad was bald very young. And as a kid, growing up, when we used to draw our dad at school, I pictured all the same. We drew a bald head and we just a little bit of curly hair on top because bald men used to keep the sides of their hair and then the little clump in the middle was still there. They should bring that stuff back, man. Instead of shaving it, it'd be a laugh. It'd be a laugh. Why are we giving a team whose highlight is higher than their table position airtime? From Jacob Williams, because they are part of the traditional top six. But yeah,
Someone made a good point earlier. It's a top six show when half the teams in it aren't even in the top six in the table.
we know what the top six means, but yeah, fuck you lot. I ain't talking. I'm not. Actually, I'd rather not talk about Man United. But fuck you guys. Before we get onto the Arsenal stuff, there's been a lot of news about them in the last couple of days. We're not really going to talk much City today because I'm doing that with LB and Hussam tomorrow on Straight Facts, and I kind of want to keep that. That's just such a. I mean, City situation is mad because they're again well beaten again. And as bad as all that club situations are, look, City have won loads of trophies, so I wouldn't put them nowhere near where United and Spurs are because of that. But it does feel like there's some major problems there. I mean, beyond just Rodri and a few tactical issues, it feels the next 4 games. I want to throw this very quickly out to the panel. I feel like the next 4 games are very, very winnable, even for a team in their bad form. If they don't come through that with 3 or 4 wins, I feel like this situation could go from being like a disaster period to more people thinking this is deeply problematic because they've got like Everton and Salford, Leicester away or something like that. Like, they've got some really easy games coming up and they've had a lot of tough games, but it's going to be an interesting next month or so for Man City.
Mm-hmm.
Foden's
I don't
back.
think
They'll
they'll
be
beat
fine.
them.
Foden's back. They'll be fine.
Oh, come on, every single week in this group chat on stream, it's
I
about
said
Foden,
Foden's back. They'll be
Foden.
fine. I said
He played-
back.
he
They'll
played
be
against
fine.
There was
Villa.
a little bit of it's his first goal, he's back sort of thing.
He's back, no? What did I say wrong now, Tom? What did I say? I can't pick him up. I can't criticize him. I
people
can't do
talking
anything.
about them
What did
Foden.
you
just
say?
not-
Who
okay.
they got?
I
They've
won't.
got
I won't mention
Everton.
him.
Who was the next game?
Oh, I got to go. Now. Someone have a look. I looked the other day, but
They've got Everton, then they've got Leicester.
Everton
then they've got...
have got the most clean sheets in the league, and at the moment, they will
Yeah,
happily have 10% possession and stink it out. I'll be honest, I don't think City will win.
I got a little. Yeah, sorry, go on.
well, if you look at where they are on the table, if it carries on, if we're sitting here 15 games, 1 win, they are going to be only a few points ahead of where we are. Now, I am personally on the agreement that I think Guardiola will leave at the end of the season with a mutual agreement. But there's a lot more stuff coming out now that the dressing room's unhappy, that he's coming out and publicly saying he's got IBS. He looks stressed. If we're sitting here at the end of January window and they haven't improved, does anyone think he might leave before the end of the season?
The only way that happens is him walking. He's not going to get sacked. He might walk.
I think he might just go fuck it and resign.
Yeah. But he's
See, the thing is, he won't do that because I think Pep cares about the legacy that he's built up. If this guy leaves in January, like he quits on the team when things are actually going wrong, that would ruin his legacy.
Who do you think City would get, Will?
Edge.
That sounded more like a plea than anything. Please take Ange.
I mean,
I reckon they'll
go get like a Xabi Alonso, maybe.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I feel like they should go target him.
Arteta.
Oh. that would put the cat amongst the pigeons, wouldn't it?
If we don't win this league, take him.
Will, do you know what? I agree with what you're saying about his legacy, but I think him walking all depends on what the real underlying problems are. Let's just paint a hypothetical. If the rumors that he's starting to, because it's not just one, it's a load of City fans phoning in saying they're hearing this, hearing that. Say he has lost the dressing room, then he will leave because no manager's ever lost the dressing room and got it back.
That's true.
And I think it really depends on why they're struggling. If it literally just is a couple of players' legs have gone, there's an injury to Rodri, and they can sign 2 or 3 new players, get rid of a couple of people, and they're back on, then no way is he quitting no matter the results. Because if he turns this round now, he can say, I've done a rebuild, right? If the problems are more deep-rooted, I don't think you've got to look at legacy from the other perspective. He's like, well, if I feel like this might continue for another 3 months or another big part of next season, no great manager's ever had a run like that, and maybe you don't want that on the CV as well. So it's an interest.
But Terry, so I don't necessarily think that he's lost the dressing room. I feel like reports like this come out when you're losing games, and I think City. I know that it's like the popular thing right now to get on them and let's laugh at Man City. I actually don't think. Well, I think the title race is done. They're not going to win the league this season. But I still think that they will be in the top 4. And I think that they will finish within 10 points of whoever wins the league. I think that they will go out there in January. They will be proactive. I think they will probably get a midfielder, right? And I think that they'll sign an attacker, somebody to help them in the final third. And I could definitely see Man City going on a run in the second half of the season. I feel like it's just so premature.
No, I listen. I agree. I agree. They can turn it round. There's no doubt. And I'm not writing them off completely yet either. But the January window is now going to be very interesting. United need to sign. City need to sign players. And of course, it's been announced today, and some really erring words surrounding it, really, that Bukayo Saka is out for a prolonged period of time. But it was just something that I read. I didn't listen to Arteta say it, where he stated he should be back before the end of the season. That, for me, if I was a Gooner, would be
wow. Did he
sobering.
Say that?
No, again, it's February time, isn't it?
I didn't hear that part. That part sounds crazy.
I want to read it. I'm going to go and find. I only read it briefly, so I need to go back and look at it. But do you remember when Saliba was out, and every week it was like, "Is he back yet?" And he just never came back. I'm just putting this out there. I can't imagine a hamstring injury keeping you out for 4.5 months, personally. But I was just reading different reports, and I just saw one that was on like an Arsenal aggregator, and it said hopefully he's back this season. And if anyone's got the link to it, DM it to me.
It was a thing where, like, so he announced that Saka was out, and then a journalist said, "Do you think he'll be back before the end of the season?" He went, "I think he'll be back before the end of the season," type thing, rather than
right. Okay,
that was his thing.
Okay.
He just answered the question in a weird way.
Maybe he answered
it. Shit he does, basically.
Yeah, maybe he answered it weirdly. I just feel like if I knew he was going to be out for 8 weeks, and someone said, "Will he be back before the end of the season?" The answer should just be, "Yeah, of course he's out for 8 weeks." But saying hopefully he's back before the end of the season. The only thing that triggered in my mind was the Saliba thing, because Saliba's injury was first reported like it was a knock and it'd be a week or 2, and it went on for like 2 months. So I just hope it isn't worse than it is, because listen, as an England fan, I don't want to see Saka's body start breaking down, because we need him as an example. But how big an impact, Kunle, is this for Arsenal, and what do you need to do in January? And I want to throw this other quote out. This has come from your big man himself in the last little while. His words are, he was asked about January signings, and he says, my intention right now is to get the best out of what I have.
Look, okay, well, the first question was how big of an impact is it? It's massive. It's huge. He's our star boy, isn't it? I still think Odegaard's the tempo setter in the team, and he's the glue. But Saka is, in terms of moments in games, he's the guy. He's the guy. He could be out of the game for the whole thing. One situation, he set up a goal or scored a goal. So it's massive for us. I liked how confident we still looked without him on the weekend, but that was just for 70 minutes or so, and it's easy to look confident for 70 minutes rather than 8 weeks potentially. So it's a massive blow. Does this mean that I give Arteta any excuses at the end of the season without a major trophy? No, it does not. But for the sheer fact they have a January to potentially sugarcoat it or to help their way through it, then there's no excuse. Like, we need
Conley, you got to have some sympathy for him. He's lost Sterling as well. Sterling's injured as well, so he can't even play Raheem, his big signing for the summer.
Sterling's injured. When did he play to get injured?
I assume Madrid.
Like, what? He just said, I want a long Christmas, man. I'm injured, boss. One of them ones. Go on holiday. But yeah, the reality is we need to do, if Saka is injured for as long as potentially it is, because when it comes to these Arteta interviews, I don't read too much in it. He's really good at playing the press. I don't overly look into it. I don't really care what he says to the press, just as long as what happens at Arsenal is cool. But I don't know. But if he's out for close to the end of the season, it'll be a massive problem. But we need to go and get a striker and a winger.
March. The reports are saying that they hope he's back in March time. So like the start of March.
Back. They hope.
Yeah, like
that, I initially heard 4 to 6 weeks before this show. But...
Yeah, apparently it's 8. Apparently it's 8. That's the line that they're going for. 8 weeks.
Kunle, it's over, bro. This is where you need to just start accepting, because Saka.
What's over? What's over?
The Premier League title race done, Champions League done. So the only thing that you could really rely on right now is the FA Cup, like, because you're not gonna win either of those other competitions if Saka is dealing with the injury, bro. And I think him being out for Arsenal for a significant amount of time, that is the one player in your squad that you would not want this to happen to, because now effectively Arsenal have arguably one of the worst attacks in the league now in terms of like your front line. Like, let's just be honest, because you're probably gonna have to start maybe Gabriel Jesus on the right wing, right? Because we've seen him do it before at Man City. But
won a title on the right wing, so it's not that bad.
Well, I mean, but he wasn't starting though. But
started a lot of games on that.
Yeah, I mean, look, they had. Jesus was the only
striker.
Sergio Aguero. Jesus was the only striker at Man City, and Aguero left. And instead of just playing Jesus,
what's going on here? What is going on here? Right
to the right.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Wait, bro.
Because I want to make sure we're clear. Because I hear the message, but you're delivering it to the wrong person. Because I already on the Football Terrace said that our title race is over. I've said that already.
No,
and I might revisit that conversation in January if we're close to Liverpool.
Well, yeah.
But as of now,
what
we're
about
in the top
the Champions League, though?
Champions League.
Arsenal in the Champions League. Come on, Arsenal Champions League. Come on,
bro. Look, and
let's be serious right now.
But the thing is, Arteta has to get all the blame for this, because he's been overplaying Saka since he's gotten to the club. Like, they've refused to sign any backup for him to give Saka a rest. Like, the guy plays 90 minutes damn near week in, week out. And now he's starting to break down a bit. And I think that you have to put that on the manager. But I think
who's Mo Salah's backup? Who's Haaland's backup? What are you talking about, bro?
Bro, but Haaland had Julian Alvarez. It's just this one season. Who's been Saka's backup? Because
Liverpool have also got the best attack in the league at the moment. And
I'm just talking about his particular points. I agree with him, but I'm just talking about his particular points.
Well, yeah, see, but no, I get like what you're saying, but then I'll ask you, well, who have Arsenal signed on that right wing aside from like Pepe that can let Saka rest?
No, just say, don't even mention Pepe. Nobody.
Pepe was there before Saka anyway.
Yes.
Oh, no, that's true.
They kicked him out.
But Pepe was a good player, man. I think that you guys made a mistake letting him go. He's a good player. But
Pepe was a good player.
Yeah, bro. Pepe wasn't trash. Come on now.
Where does he play now?
I think for Nice.
Except on OnlyFans. But
No, I don't think he
Burnley,
plays
I
at
think.
Nice anymore. I think he's in Spain somewhere.
No, he's in Turkey, I think.
Exactly.
Oh, is he
we
in
don't
Turkey?
even know where he is, Will.
No,
so
wait.
he can't be
He's
there.
at Villarreal. He's at Villarreal.
No, he's
no,
definitely in
he-
Spain.
yeah, he's in La Liga,
Spain.
you're right.
Yeah. He's at Villarreal. But
All,
point is,
all I know
Saka
about him
being
is he's
out-
got a very notable girlfriend nowadays. That seems to be his only
Where'd
main
you know
claim
her
to
from?
fame.
Tom? Where'd you know her from?
Oh, it's just
That's
on
social
Twitter every
media
now and then.
website. He posts videos.
Yeah.
but Saka being out, this is gonna have a major impact for you
This is
guys,
horrid,
bro.
though,
It's just crazy. But your front line is so dead now because Saka was the guy that would carry you, and then now I don't know who that's gonna be because you brought up.
We're good
Odegaard.
until
What's free gonna be?
we might be good until the end of January because obviously Jesus is seeing the windows open and he's like, oh, let me get my goals in now, lock up shop at the end of January and that. But yeah, I think we'll be fine till the end of January. And once Jesus stops scoring, we'll revisit this problem again. But we need to do something. We need to do something big in January. We have to do something big in January.
Have you seen the games you've got in that time? Though you got Brentford away, who up until Nuno turned up, had the best home record in the league. Brighton away, a team that have beaten a lot of good teams at
Man
home this
United in the
season.
cup and Newcastle in the cup.
We got a good record at Brighton, so I'm not too fussed. They got a better record at home against us than away, to be fair. Which is
But Kunle, why would Arteta come out and say that his intentions are just getting the best out of what he has? Why not say we'll assess the market and see where we can strengthen? Why would you say that? Why not give an ambitious answer?
Hey, but Will, this is the same manager that said he wants to do goalkeeping substitutions to confuse the whole press, and he's never done a goalkeeping substitution. Arteta says weird things in freaking press conferences. That's just what it is. I don't give a damn what he actually says. I hope he confuses all the press and everyone. Yeah. Just as long as the message is telling the players is the most important thing. Press conferences are a bag of shit to me because they can say they're not signing anyone, then 24 hours they sign someone, or they're not doing anything big and they do the press conference means nothing to me, and I don't think a lot of fans take it in too much consideration in terms of Arteta. He's really good with the media. He's the best at answering questions without saying anything. It's just weird. So I don't take too much about his press conferences personally. I think because Edu's gone, I do believe we go big for someone in January.
It would also be a really stupid thing considering the position they're in to go, oh, by the way, we really want to buy a right winger in the January because every club that has a right winger will go, okay, there's another 20 million on the price tag. Enjoy.
But clubs aren't stupid though, Tom. Everybody knows that they need a right winger. So whether you say it or not, they're gonna still maybe overcharge you. I don't think it really matters. But I think it would be nice.
You don't think? We don't know, Will. We're just all speculating, right?
No, that's true. That's true. I just didn't really care for his answer. I feel like he could have gave an answer that indicated that Arsenal.
I don't think you care for anything Arsenal, to be honest, Will. But you keep saying you always end it by, I actually like Arsenal.
I like Arsenal. Yeah.
Do you think there's any chance you win the league from here?
No, personally, no. If somehow in January the 1st we're within 4 points from Liverpool, I'm willing to entertain conversations. But right now we're in a top 4 race, man.
It's a 2-horse race.
Yeah, right. No, it's Liverpool winning it. Chelsea
are in the race, 100%.
Yeah, they're in the race, but they're not going to win the league. So you can call it what you want.
That conference league's a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, but they're not going to win the league.
Let's one game a week all season.
I hear you, but this Chelsea thing, as good as they're doing, they've still not done anything. It's 16 games in. They've not done anything. They're playing well after 16 games. So and I respect that because I didn't think they'd start this well. But I think the praise that Chelsea are getting is just crazy. We're 16 games in. They're they're in the top 3, and people are getting so excited about it because at the end of the season they could still finish 6th. So we were just bigging them up for no reason.
What are you saying? It's Liverpool to lose.
Yeah, 100%.
What are the conversations then if Arne Slot wins the league title in his first season and Arteta doesn't it in 5?
Tom, I want him sacked on the day that you realise you lot are titles. I want him sacked that day.
Well,
even if it's match week 35, I want him to walk.
So the moment Arne Slot got that league title in his hand, you want to steal all the headlines and go, Arteta's out the door at Arsenal.
Yes, right. If that's what you want to call it, I want him out.
I mean, the only thing I want really at that point then is for Arteta's final game at Arsenal to be him giving Arne Slot a guard of honour. That would really rub it in.
It's certainly going to be a very interesting period now because look, Saka is so important for Arsenal. Can someone in a short-term period step up? Will they go out in the January window? I feel like if Arsenal don't go out and buy someone in the, excuse me, it doesn't even need to be a right winger per se. It needs to be someone who can add. I think Arsenal fans have been saying we need a new attacker, whether it's a number 9 or whether it be someone on the left to score goals. I've seen a lot of them say that about their football club. You need it more now than ever. And like I was saying earlier, City are in the market for attackers and midfielders. Man United are in the market for attackers and midfielders. Victor Osimhen, that Napoli have said 62 million euros, and people can have him. He's having a good season this year. That's a good amount of money for a player like him. Look, they're still in the title race right now, but Sporting are slowly but surely sinking like the Titanic since Amorim left the football club. They might go on to win the league still, but there is a chance if they lose a few more games in the next few weeks that you could turn around and talk to their owners and say, look, we'll pay you the 50, 60 million pound now for your Kodesh. You might fall away from those Champions League positions because you're dropping very quickly. They were unbeaten and cruising. They're now top but level on points. And it's almost every week they're going further and further behind. That might change the mindset of a board who think, well, actually, we might do the business now because that gives us a big injection of cash that we can spread into the side. I think Arsenal have to do something big. I get what you're saying about the manager playing it down. There's loads of reasons for that. Some of it's just trying to control the media and throw them off the scent because the news stories are just sometimes not what you need. And he also kind of does like weird sarcasm, doesn't he? That time, was that weird thing he did where he said that there's like the way he likes to play football is like how he drives to work. There's like 750,000 different routes to work. And it kind of got what he meant, but it just didn't land. So he does a lot of things like that. I just feel, it's sad for Saka. But I'm also intrigued now to watch how Arsenal cope with this. What other players step up? And have you got a player that can grab the ball by the horns and say, well, Saka was the talisman. A lot of our attacks go down that side. He was the main guy. Well, now I've got the chance to stand up and be counted. I'm just intrigued to see whether somebody does that in the short term. I'm not saying permanently. I'm just intrigued. I don't know if it will happen. It's a massive blow for them. But it just feels like everything's falling into place for Liverpool, Tom. It feels like everything is falling, even down to getting the game called off because it was windy. And I've spoken to a lot of people that live up in Liverpool. It weren't even that bad. They were saying that the weather was worse for Chelsea's game yesterday.
It was.
And it was like, even when you guys had a little rough patch,
we were not winning that Everton game. I will tell you for a matter of fact, we were not going to win that Everton game if we had to play it that day. So Storm Dada. Little bit of a little underhand deal to the government to give us a little health warning that day so we could get away with it, and we get back to winning ways a couple of games later. Now everything's seemingly falling into place for me personally. In the way I like to think about it, we've got a couple of games coming up against Leicester and United that I want to win, not because I think they're the toughest of games, but just because I think of the meaning and the history of what happened last time in the league with those games on those dates. But no, we're going very strong at the minute. We're getting Canate back soon. I think he's only a week away from being back ready for games again, which is massive for us. Conor Bradley's back soon, so we're not really struggling on the injury front either. All in all, it's coming together pretty nicely so far. Nice win yesterday, good performance. Teams around us not being able to take their opportunities. Everton, doing us a favour 2 weeks in a row with some really good 0-0s, helping us recover from those points we dropped against Newcastle and Fulham. So, yeah, it's all coming together. But we're not going to win the league. I'm not saying we're going to win the league yet.
What? I do love it this season.
What?
Liverpool fans doing this. We're not favourites. We're lepers in a tree. Chelsea fans, they could.
No one wants to win the league. No one wants to be favourites.
Social media, like Neeks, big up Neeks. I know he doesn't do a lot of content anymore, but big up Neeks because he's obviously very busy living his life and following his career. But he said this a few years ago. The one thing about social media that he dislikes is it's taken away football fans' ability to just have a bit of chest. And we're like, no one's even asking Liverpool fans or Chelsea fans this season to say they're winning the league. Getting them to admit they're in a race has been harder. It's weird. It's so strange. Do you know what I'm saying? But I get it though. I do get it because I say that I think Ineos can make us a really a contending team in 3 to 4 years. And every bump in a row is met with, you said
back at you.
They said you were never going to bring you back. Yeah, I said in 3 or 4 years we're 4 months in. Like, you're going a little bit early there, my old mate. You're doing a little bit of a gym from American Pie. You are prematurely ejaculating when it comes. And then the worst bit is you then maybe get to the end result. And by the time the end result arrives, everybody's so bored of the debate. I don't think these people online realize it. It's like the Arteta in, Arteta out debate. I know that it's still going on, but I feel like it's dead. And I've said this for about 6 months now. And I'm talking about the staunch Arteta inners that see nothing wrong in anything he does. And then the staunch outers that no matter what he does, they'll keep kicking that can down the street. I feel like that debate has been so done to death. When anyone brings it up, it's just, I can't. Like, it's just tired because for 4 years, after every draw, forget defeat and win, after every draw, the debate happened. And it was, you don't need to have that debate every week, every game. It becomes tiring. And I think people make a prediction like, I think we're in a title race. And like, I think Chelsea are. They drew yesterday. The title race is over. Well, it's fucking not, you idiots. It's so jarring. Like, people want the end result far too early. Do you know what I'm saying? It's crazy to me. It's crazy.
Being honest, by the way, I do think that if we don't win the league from this point, I'll be very, very disappointed. I don't think there's a team better placed than us to do it in terms of, the players that we've got and the way that we're playing. Chelsea, Arsenal have their problems with the Saka injury, although I do think that Arteta's probably might have a little solution for that with that Havertz centre mid thing that he done. I thought that was quite good. Yeah.
Hey, Tom.
Man City, obviously City. Chelsea are a bit of a worry, but I'm intrigued to see how they get through this period where they're playing a fixture schedule like the rest of us, because we don't have Conference League where we can play a bunch of second stringers in the back arse of Astana. Now that they've got to play 2 games a week like the rest of us, it'll be interesting to see if the squad can handle that. So, if we don't win either the Premier League or Champions League this year, I will be quite disappointed, because I do think we're in a very strong position.
You think you'll win multiple trophies?
Right, I'll put it this way. We minimum should get to the final of the Carabao Cup. We should probably win the Carabao Cup as well. And we should win at least one of the 2 of the league or Champions League.
You know what I find really interesting?
What's the answer to the question?
You still back yourself against Madrid?
Henry asked you a question. Are you going to win multiple trophies? Yes or no, Tom? What was all that about that you just said?
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, well, we will win multiple trophies.
But do you still think in a knockout game over 2 legs that you do Madrid? Because I think, as great as you are, Madrid in that competition, even where they are right now.
Yeah, but they might not play Madrid. That's the thing. They don't have to play Madrid.
It's written in the stars. They always play. They will play Madrid.
Yeah,
Henry, we literally played Madrid a month ago and beat them 2-0 and played them off the park.
But I understand that. But
I haven't got fear over Madrid at the minute.
Dimella, mate. Dimella.
The real Dimella, isn't it?
You know what? Yeah, Liverpool have been amazing. I think they'll win. I think they'll win a few trophies this year. I do. My dad said something about a week ago about Liverpool, and then Gary Neville said it yesterday, and it freaked me out because it felt like deja vu. My dad said words to the effect of, when I watch Liverpool play, they remind me of Fergie's best teams. And I didn't really ask him why. I just said, shut up, Dad. Like, Fergie, like, he's the guy. Put Liverpool and Fergie in the same sentence. And then I heard Gary Neville say it in his podcast today. I was listening to it this morning. And I was like, I just texted my dad and said, fuck you. Right? Because I sent him the link. And my dad's like, no, he does. And it's interesting because I think a lot of us have complained about the sort of, that Pep's amazing. I'm taking nothing away from him. So City fans, please don't cry. But I got a bit bored of the very regimental style of footballs where you kind of knew what both teams were going to do, how they were going to set up. Mm-hmm. And what we're now starting to see is a different type of manager come through. Slot. His team will attack for 15 minutes and then they'll absorb. And then they'll attack again. And then a sub will happen and they'll make a substitution change and they'll go from a 4-3-3 to a 4-2-3-1 in or out of possession. It'll be subtle changes. Maresca's very similar at Chelsea. He adapts depending on the team that he is playing, as an example. I've seen early stages of that with Ruben Amorim, but if you read what he did at Sporting, it wasn't just the same style every game, no matter who he was playing. And I like it because I think Slot's kind of spearheading it in the Premier League because he's top of the league, but it's almost, this is what I say about when everyone goes, oh, innovation and the modern day managers. They do modern things. There's always like new elements to it. But football goes in cycles. And I feel like we're about to maybe go through. Remember a few years ago, everybody wanted attacking fullbacks. 5-6 years ago, attacking fullbacks were the new number 10s and number 10s disappeared. Now everybody's more interested. Then we went for a few years where no, I'm going to play centre backs as fullbacks because it makes you more strong defensively. And you go through all these cycles of formations and what types of players are popular. I was watching Liverpool yesterday, and they are brilliant. They are brilliant because they can do all types
Tom
of
smiling.
football.
Look,
They are brilliant, and it's as a United fan, it annoys me to say it. But I'm also very proud to now see people saying that it's like a Fergie style of football because people like to pretend like Fergie's brand of football was never been replicated by anybody else or done again. And the fact that there's a Liverpool manager doing it, fair play to him because it works. We know it works. It won 13 Premier League titles. It just depends on the cycle and how players are trained.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Did you
no
just try and
manager
find a way to take credit for Liverpool's form there.
none whatsoever. None whatsoever. It's not about taking credit. I know it's a good joke.
I mean, it's a crazy thing you're trying to insinuate there. Kind of like Fergie's influence has led to Liverpool matching the amount of league titles potentially that United got.
Mate, it's crazy. No, it's just what, of course, but all managers influence, and you guys will know. You think about pressing in football. Look, pressing has always existed, but let's not pretend like. I know that they all learned it from Ralph Rangnick, but what Ralph Rangnick started, and I think Jurgen Klopp took it to another level, made it far more famous and popular. The amount of people that follow that element of football because of him, and then you'll find that there'll come a point where pressing. I'm not saying it would die out per se, but what will happen
it
through the
calm
academy?
down.
What happens is the academies will train their players to handle press from day one. And then eventually pressing won't be as effective. So clubs will try it a different way. And it's almost, well, let's sit off now. And suddenly, like, hang on a fucking minute. One of the things I think is going to come back soon as well, it got to be tried, is put wingers on the right who are right-footed. Because fullbacks aren't learning to defend week in, week out against right-footed. They're learning to defend against people that invert.
Mm-hmm.
So
you see Martinelli the other day. He actually looked decent on the right. I'm not saying it should work every week. Don't get it twisted. But he looked
you could tell the fullback of Palace,
confused.
He weren't training to play against someone that goes on the outside every time. And This is the thing with football. It goes in cycles. And it's only the young people that think everything that's new now is like the best ever and it's never been seen before. And by the way, to all you youngsters, I mean, to respect, I was the same when I was younger, whether it's clothes, whether it's music, whether it's films. Oh, this is the best. It's never been done before. And as you get older and older and older, man, the songs that come out when I was a kid that banged, and everyone's like, there's a song that came out by Ja Rule. Everyone loved it, right? Do I Do? And I remember listening to it in my room. My dad went, why are you listening to Stevie Wonder? I said, Ja Rule. So my dad put on Stevie Wonder, and it's a song that's 40 years old being redone again. I'm thinking, oh, I thought this was the bomb. The Stevie Wonder version is better, actually, by the way. But it's just life cycles. It's excellent.
I can't wait.
But it's excellent to see a new brand of football that maybe will win the league.
I can't wait for when football hits that cycle where we bring back big man, little man strike partnerships.
Hey, strike partnership.
I'm all for that.
I love a strike partnership, man.
Yeah. Two up front, wingers bombing up and down the line. Oh,
yeah.
What the first team that brings that back will have teams panic and like you.
Well, 4-4-2 has made a slight comeback. 4-4-2 has made a slight comeback when people are out of possession. So 4-4-2 has become a defensive shape that people are using, and everything goes in. Like people think like 4-3-3s and 4-2-3-1s are a modern day thing. Like this stuff's been going. I mean, even like Pep style of football was invented in the 70s by Cruyff. Total football. What Pep did, and he deserves credit, is he just added an adaptation to it. As an example, and every like few years, somebody brings, I've got an idea, and they bring another new element in and another new element, and then some coach will find something from 100 years ago. Be like, I'm gonna fucking try that, and it'll work. And suddenly, oh my god, he's an innovator. Sort of, but it's hard to invent things. It's hard to invent new things in sport. Teams still play 4-4-2. Watch football outside of England, Terry. Well, listen, I cover the top 6. Okay, so I watch every single top 6 game. It's very, very difficult to watch a plethora more football after that when you watch all of the top 6 every weekend and do hour to hour and a half shows after every single game. Because the thing is, Maradona, I love football, but I also have 3 children. I have a partner and I have friends and I have a life. So I'm not going to spend my entire weekend just watching football because be honest with you, I think if anybody's doing that, my message is please go out and get a life and touch some grass because you'll regret not doing that as you get older. Trust me, Maradona.
No, but Maradona, the reality is if there was many teams playing 4-4-2, we would all know about it, bro. Regardless of whether we watch football in any, like, Let's be honest, bro. Like, keep it a
Madrid,
buck.
they were in a 4-4-2 more times
Yeah, I
than
was about
not.
to say that. And La Liga at the moment, that title race is just changing
It's
every
incredible.
single
I
week.
love it.
Yeah, I was
I'm
going to
loving
ask
La
you,
Liga.
Will. I was going to ask you, Will. What's your
Loving it.
thoughts on all the Madrid fans that 6 weeks ago wanted one of your greatest ever managers hung, drawn, and quartered, said
He's one
Mbappe
of
was
them.
a flop?
Yeah, you
Like,
are.
I
He's
don't know
one of
whether
them.
Will was. I don't remember
No,
it.
Will
But
was.
No,
Oh,
he
Will
was
was.
saying,
What did
How
you
you
call
feeling
Carlo
now?
Ancelotti, Will? Say it here on the terrace. What did you call him? Hey, what?
I called him. Look, that's
The
not
F word.
relevant.
Yeah, the
right
F
now.
word. Say it again.
What
No,
is-
say it here. You called him a what?
Funny enough, I still
No,
want
not
Carlo
funny.
out.
You didn't call him funny, bro. You definitely begins with F, though.
Do you want him out though? Let's say you don't
Yeah.
win the Champions League.
Yeah, this needs to be Carlos last season because tactically he's been awful, and we've been getting away with it. So I know that we're sitting second right now, only 1 point off of Atleti, but that's just all due to, as you guys like to say, the dark arts. Like we've been very lucky this season, and we've been trashing the UCL. His tactics have been bad. Doesn't rotate. Waits until like the 80th minute to make subs. Yeah, Carlos just. I think that the football has left him. So I believe this will be his last season as our manager.
By the way, Maradon, you're trying to throw Strasbourg C, but I know this for a fact because I'm friends with Strasbourg C. We speak on WhatsApp and stuff. He has a life, a job. He has a partner. He does not spend his entire weekend purely watching football. So that is not true. He has a genuine, bona fide life. Me and him were actually speaking today about what we're both doing today. We're both out Christmas shopping and doing little bits and pieces. So again, you're not out Christmas shopping. Friends, football friends. That's gone right over Will's head, though, isn't it? That's gone right. And KJ. Could we believe it?
Oh
Tom?
my god.
We couldn't
I couldn't
believe
believe
it.
it.
We couldn't believe it, right?
Yeah,
We
you've
were
not seen
obviously-
between us.
No.
being in Germany for the time we were was great, and it was like reliving my youth out with the boys. It was marvelous, and we got quite a lot of the evenings when we got there in the knockout stages. There was not much to do, so we're like, oh, we'll watch this show, watch this, and we were out one day playing football, and we were like, oh, let's watch the in-betweeners later. And KJ like scoffed at it and said, I'm not watching that nonsense. And we said,
Nah.
and then KJ's best friend from real life was out there working with us as well, Dre. And he was like, oh, yeah, he's dry when it comes to this. We kind of bullied KJ into watching the film. And it was one of those things where you could tell at the beginning, he's like, I ain't laughing. 15 minutes in, you see in his face, like just staring and smiling at the screen, where he was like, oh, this is actually really good. Yeah, the in-betweeners, man. If you ain't seen it, you are missing out hugely. Let's do some of these super chats here, because there's quite a few to get through. What realistic player do you want your club to get in January? I'm going to throw this to Kunle to begin with. Who would you like to sign?
Mohamed Kudus.
Oh, yeah. That'd be a good...
He can play in Saka's position. He can play in midfield. He can play false nine if we need him to. But yeah, versatile player, quality.
That would be amazing. I would like... Oh, shit, that's hard. Victor Gyökeres. I think that is realistic. I know they keep saying no deals will be done. Money talks, bruv. So, yeah, go and get Victor Gyökeres. I don't mind the idea of Osimhen. Edison in the midfield. Do you know what, though? If we can't sign a top attacker, do you know who come into my head today? Mbomo from Brentford. Probably say his name wrong.
And where would you play him? Through the middle?
Through the middle, left, right. He's fucking better than everything else we got. Maybe not on the right. Ahmad's doing well.
Yeah, I was going to say Ahmad on the right.
I'm sorry. Like, what about the Wolves left wing back?
Nuri. Again, I'd have Nuri. Nuri. I like Nuri. Kirkes, I would like to come in. So listen, with Man United, I could probably name about 30
You
players.
could go to every position pretty much and go, I'll take him.
Yeah, I could go through most clubs in the Prem and like take 2 or 3 players from each. But yeah, there's quite a few.
There's a player that just came up in the comment section. Who would take Semenyo? I think he's a quality player, man. He's really good.
Yeah,
I like and Evan Nilsson. Take all 3 of them.
I wouldn't take Kluivert, but I
wouldn't take Kluivert.
I like those guys.
I want to go. I like the.
That's a Spurs type signing. That makes sense.
Is it Diblin?
Yeah.
He's linked to United. He's got a name that should be a Harry Potter character, shouldn't he? You know what I mean? Tom Diblin. You know what I mean? Tom Diblin. Expelliarmus. Forget the Premier League. Tom should be pressed for a treble talk.
I'm not talking about anything like that after the last two times people try to rope me into it and then it all fucking falls apart. I still remember that. I still remember the last day of the 21-22 season in that studio. Oh my god, brutal.
Mate, the best part of that day was when we went to the cocktail bar afterwards.
I
That
know.
was when it all went off. It went off. It weren't his fault, right? I'm not going to name the guy. We were just chatting to these couple of ladies walked out of the bathroom area, and two of the single lads went, we're going to go and chat to them. And they got chatting to these girls sitting on the table. All of us lot that had partners, we were all just sitting on another table talking. And before we knew it, someone who worked with one of these ladies was trying to fight our friend because he was basically trying it with her, and she basically said no. And then these two lads had moved in, and it just went off. It went. It was a madness. It was a great though. It was madness. It was great.
Funny.
I loved it. Reliving my youth. Will Madrid gonna catch this Chelsea smoke at MetLife? World Club Cup is for the boys in blue. Gonna end your season with a cherry on top. I thought I was gonna rhyme then.
It's a very loaded comment right there. Look, well, I hope that we play Chelsea in the Club World Cup. It could be Enzo and Cole Palmer's audition for us.
Wow.
Audition.
Audition.
Palmer at Madrid.
So which one of the front three goes in?
I'm just talking shit. Nah, but Enzo though, like that's the real audition.
Yeah, Enzo is realistic.
He loves Enzo. Salah's absence will leave others guessing as to how we will play, at least for a few games. It's a good point. Will is a Madrid fan, but what has happened to Barca?
They suck. Yamal FC.
Yeah,
and the Highlands got figured out. I think like Flick's tactics was catching like the whole league off with like how well they were doing that offside trap. But I think it's been figured out now, so they're struggling at the moment.
And they can't blame injuries either because Yamal's back. So like that, the whole thing was when Yamal gets back, Barcelona will be back. Well, he is.
You can't listen.
He's actually
you can't rely on a 17-year-old.
He's not injured again. He's out for like a month.
You can't rely on. Listen, he's amazing, and I've got nothing bad to say about the young kid. But no team should be built around a 17-year-old. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, man.
You ruin him.
That level yet.
Will every press conference he says he won't talk about other teams' players, etc. Bloke sits up there and talks shit to the press to give them nothing, is what Tony says.
You're talking about Arteta, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Injuries happen. I am disgusted by fans' reactions to Mason Saka's injuries. Chelsea are back. Yeah, I will say, I mean, we called out the Rodri ones. I don't see all of it. It depends how much it trends. But some of the reactions to Saka's injury, some of the Chelsea fans' reaction to Mason Mount's injury, I found it vile. It's like, do better. Like, again, I think some of these people are kids. If my dad as a child looked over my shoulder and saw me tweeting and laughing about someone getting injured, it'd have smacked me so hard around the head, I'd have woken up and my clothes would have been out of fashion. Do you know what I mean? And I just think some kids need a bit of a spank off their mum and dad. A spank, not a beating. There is a difference. Those who claim Pep won't leave as he cares about legacy, he left Barca the year Jose beat him in La Liga and left Bayern without a Champions League.
I mean, all this talk of Pep legacy, his legacy's already defined. The man's won 2 trebles and more league titles than most managers could ever even dream of seeing, let alone winning. I'm sure
Tom,
a little thing at the end of City won't.
Is he won more league titles than? Is he won more than Ferguson now?
No,
probably not.
Wait, but Tom,
like titles as a whole with Barca and
no.
Wait, but Tom, if Pep just quits on Man City in the middle of the season, I feel like that just automatically takes him out of the GOAT conversation.
No, but how are you going to take someone that's got 2 trebles, bro? You can't do that. You can't.
No, I don't think it takes him out of the conversation, but it will be a huge. It'll be a huge.
It'll be an asterisk on his.
Huge asterisk. Like, yo, he quit when things got tough.
Yep.
He could even rebuild.
When the going get tough, the tough get.
But then but then he'll say
it'll maybe dead the Ferguson chats completely.
It will. That's why I'm not even gonna lie shamelessly. That's why I wanted to keep going wrong, because if this continues for another few months and he goes, Fergie's safe for the rest of my life, then, in my opinion. So I do fear this guy because he is amazing. Just come out that Chelsea should have had a pen against Everton for the Pickford. By the way, I didn't see that yesterday because I was so focused on the Man United game. Absolutely was a penalty, and I'll be addressing that in content tomorrow, Riley. So keep your eyes peeled for that one,
It's not the first time Pickford's done something like that either.
it was very similar to the Van Dijk one. And I didn't see it in the game because I did say on the match reaction yesterday, I was heavily focused on Man United and I just didn't see it. And it's only today I saw a clip when I was out bowling.
But I don't think that Chelsea could necessarily look for like the refs to help them out there. Nicholas Jackson should have scored. So
I agree.
Or not, like they should have won that game. It's their fault.
This here says a short Christmas song for City fans to let it snow. I'm trying to write the song. Oh, the football away is frightful. I'm trying to say, I'm a bad singer, by the way. And at home, you're not delightful. And since you've no place to go, stay down low, stay down low, stay down low. There we go. I like that. Why are we? Oh, sorry, already done that one there from Jacob. I'm an Arsenal fan, but my heart bleeds for Spurs.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. You will be sat there
lies,
giggling your head off when you watch Tottenham defend like
lies.
that.
It's brilliant.
Kool-Aid, you co-signed that super chat.
Hey?
Nah, I was asking if he co-signed the super
He
chat.
gave you the Kool-Aid. How was my queen yesterday with Spurs' defeat? How was my sweetheart?
She's I don't know where she is right now. There's no enthusiasm. She's defeated. Like she's like, I can't do this anymore. It's too much. It's too much pain. Why would they do that? Yeah, it was a lot, man. It was a lot.
Love it. Bless her. Kate, why is Foster still drunk in goal?
I feel sorry for the guy. Look, he's been good for us really until Man United went tits up. And yesterday, to be fair, he had a couple of shaky things, but he saved us from being absolutely drummed. So he's the least of my worries at the minute. Fraser Forster, to be fair.
The least, Kate. Are we sure?
No, he's actually, to be fair, he has been good since he's come.
He's just handing out goals right now, though.
No, he isn't. Don't tell Porkies.
Like he literally was playing like to me, to you in the first 2 minutes yesterday.
To me, to you.
He passed it to Salah, and Salah was.
You ain't gonna rattle me. You crack.
I'm not. Hey.
Nah, Henry did that yesterday. I'm not gonna lie. I went into the group chat last night. I was sitting down watching Die Hard, and I went into the group chat and saw it. And you know the meme of Grandpa from the Simpsons who walks into the saloon and walks out. That was me. I went straight in the group chat, straight out.
Oh, when he whistles and puts his hat down and then walks back.
Yeah. I was like, no, not doing it. AMT, I did miss your super chat earlier. I am sorry. Sometimes you streamer don't star them. His question was third highest scorers is in Arsenal. What worst attack wafflers is what he says here.
I mean, when you say wafflers, only one of us said it, so I feel like the S at the end's a little bit harsh on the rest of us. None of us said you got the worst attack.
And he also says injuries can cost games, but this long with one win. Talking about Man City as well. And yeah, listen, this is why I'll give the same thing. I'll give the same energy to Arsenal. Saka being out, there's no excuse to win one in the next 12. And also, if Arsenal do better than one win in 12 with Saka out, it blows that. This is why, again, as an Arsenal fan, I'll be pushing this. If you guys have a good run in the next 12 with no Saka, it blows the argument that if you lose Rodri, you can just suddenly lose all these football matches because all teams have injuries.
But Terry, the next thing will be like, are you going to win the league though? Yeah. So it's just one obstacle to another, mate. Bro. Literally.
No, I absolutely believe you. And Daniel also says, no, it does. We have been there. It sucks. Oh, he's being serious, Daniel.
That's what makes it better, though. The fact
no,
that they I'm telling you right now, Henry on this panel will have been laughing when Arsenal were in the crap. Now that they're in the crap, laugh at them. It's funny.
Oh, well, when they were like 15th after 5 games, yeah.
Yeah, you tell me Tottenham fans weren't laughing at that.
Yeah, but if you meet a decent Arsenal fan and you feel their pain, I do actually feel for some people. But when? When couldn't they? If you was really bad, you're not particularly gobby, and if you were really struggling and at the end of your tether with your team, I'd feel your pain because I've felt it a million times with Spurs.
A whole life.
I respect that.
All right, Terry, don't rub it in.
I'm just saying. Jeremy Doku Goat 11 here says, Terry, why don't you rate Jeremy Doku and Savinio? System failing them. Also, look, I'll give you this, right? I've seen them have great opportunities to score, great opportunities for fairly simplistic cutbacks, and they haven't pulled them off. I don't think that's the system failing them. Personally, I think they're both extremely talented players that have both got a lot of good skills and a lot of attributes. But I'm just consistent. When it comes to attackers, I rate players more on their delivery and the volume of output they have that wins their team games than I do their skill set. Because, listen, I think most of us would agree that St. Maximum has got better dribbling ability and better technique than, say, Bukayo Saka. You could argue that. But Bukayo Saka's output, he's crossing, he's passing, he's through balls, he's shooting. He's all so superior. The skills mean nothing. I think both these players you've mentioned are very talented. I really, really do. Excuse me. But they've got to improve their delivery, especially Doku, that's been at the club 18 months now. Savio is still in his first year. Thanks, Terry, for revisiting my super chats. No problem. If I miss things, just let me know and we'll go back and find them. Listen, I want to thank everyone who's tuned in. I want to thank my panel. Oh, look at that. Christmas. No, that's nice. Back tomorrow with some more content, including Straight Facts at 3 p.m. with LB and Hussam. Bit of a new mixture today. Also got a bit of a Christmas treat coming Christmas Day from me and KJ as well. So keep your eyes firmly peeled. I want to say to my panel, if I don't see any of you beforehand, have a wonderful and Merry Christmas and enjoy the festive period. To everybody that's tuning in, look, again, if you celebrate Christmas, if you have a merry one, have a great one. If you don't and you're just with family, have a brilliant time as well. But Merry Christmas to one and all. Thank you all for tuning in. My panel, you've been amazing as ever. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon. Peace.